What up, guys? Welcome back to All Gas Podcast. I'm Factor,
Kevin.
and today we have Mo and Andre with us today. So,
What's up, guys? Thanks for coming through.
What up?
what's going on, brother? How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Most of y'all might not know who these guys are, but some of you might. Both been in this for quite some time, as we were just talking about off camera. I mean, it's been years upon years.
20 plus years.
I'll say, what you say, about 20 plus years?
Yes,
Yeah, 20
in
plus
2000, 2001.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Started the Honda game in, 96, 97.
So what got you started? Let's start there. Where was your beginning?
Let's start at the beginning. So,
Yeah.
So, for me, I grew up in racing. So my dad raced Volkswagens.
Okay.
Same shit. Dad
He-
race motorcycles. Street race motorcycles.
He had an orange and white 73 Super Beautiful with 1776 in it.
Nice.
And then from there he went to RX-7. So I got exposed to rotaries young. And then, as time went on, some people get married and can't do it anymore. But he would always take me to the bug races every year.
Bugorama.
Yep, Bugorama. I go every year. And
That event used to be huge.
man, it was enticing to be around it, and in the garage, it's the dynamic in all of this is that he would work on cars in the garage, and he'd ask me to hold the light or whatever, and he would bump his head with the light, burn his head, and end up yelling at me because I'm not holding the light right, or throw a wrench at me or whatever.
Fuck, I just did that exact same thing. My son's 3. I'm like, hey, son, hold it. This morning, I'm like, fucking the turbo manifold bolts backed out. I had to put new ones on. I'm like, son, hold the flashlight. He's like, okay, dad. He's just like,
Start playing with it.
He started looking around and shit.
So it's kind of a tradition.
So, it got to a point when I got to be a teenager, I told him I was, you know what? When I get older, I'm going to pay people to work on my car. I'm not going to deal with cars. I'm not doing any of this. I hate cars. I can't stand it. Whatever, but tables turned, and I laugh about that even now to this day because I just was that kid. It just, my dad made me really hate cars growing up. Like, I got to see him build motors and everything in the garage, but it just wasn't a passion or desire of mine until I hit high school. And then I ended up going to a private high school out in Sacramento, and being around kids that obviously parents had unlimited funds. You start to, my sophomore year, kids started rolling up. This is 95, 96. So Ford or GSR. Kid came to school with a Gretty exhaust and intake. That was like
He
the
was
shit.
the shit.
You know what I mean? This is back in like 95, 96, and nobody
Smoggable.
Man, smoggable shit. And so where it kind of came in for me is my sophomore year is when I started to get introduced to street racing. And first car I ever drove was a DA with a big ass wing on it. And back in the day, Thermal had made an exhaust with a 5-inch tip.
That wing either would have been a Street Fighter or a Wings West. It was one of them wild ass wings.
So I had no license, and the car was on cut springs. Is that what the thing back in the day was?
Sure
Dumped
was.
around. And my friend handed me the keys, and he was like, I didn't let you drive the car if you get pulled over, so I had never driven a stick before. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that introduced me to the Honda scene. But before that, I still love cars, but I actually like lowriders.
Okay.
That was my thing. Mainly like 72 Caprices on, Gold Daytons and shit like that. That was what I loved. But the Honda scene became enticing to me, and just imports in general. And then, Battle of the Imports and all those things started to come up. And over time, like I say, like 98, when Bowtie was still coming here, and they were bringing HKS in June, and all the Skylines, and everything was coming here.
Yep.
Even when Jeremy Lukowski and Sean Hiller were bringing the CRX with the H22 in it, that,
back in the day.
even Papadakis, all of them.
Yeah.
And even lately, I just started following the dude with the NSX, the purple NSX, Adam Sartari.
Oh, yeah.
When he was bringing his RX-7s here.
Before he switched to the NSX.
Yep. And then, even Abel Ibera, who I still see, he's still full in the game. Bringing the Flacco, bringing the RX-3 here, racing that. So it's like, I've seen such a span of racing over time and met so many different people, even up to, I want to say like 05. I went to SEMA one year, and I just met Will from Exospeed. And we became super tight, and just so happened I got invited to the Honda party. And that was when Sean Carlson was still around. And I partied with Sean and Steph, and everybody was drunk, so it was like, it was kind of one of those random moments, like, damn, okay, I partied with him, and all these people, so it's just like, the industry getting introduced in that way, you know, even like John from Darton, you know, all these people that I've established relationships with kept me wanting to be in the industry.
Well, it helped being with Warren too. I mean, Warren was huge in this area.
And so even to get in, so like with Warren, being from Sacramento and having a Honda, I touched almost every single shop. So I'm talking like Miles when Trick Speed was still around, and Joey Dulce, who was basically the fastest stock bottom end LS nitrous car. He won 11.2. He was sponsored by JG, you know. And then you have Wes, who had I can't remember the name of the shop, but he was in the Thomas, but he worked for Trick Speed. I mean, just all these guys over time, and then Pinnacle came around, and then, you know, I knew Adam from high school days, from when he had his silver EK. You know what I mean? It was single cam nitrous.
Yeah.
And even in those days, that's how met a lot of people like Clovis. Me and Clovis ended up being in Elements together back in the day in Stockton.
Damn.
You know? Like
That's old school.
Old school. You know what I mean? Like so.
We
And
were
so
talking
like,
about that off camera the other
man.
day. It was like, dude, all them dudes lived right around the corner from me.
and it's like, you know, like I hit up Clovis the other day on Instagram, and like he's dirt bike racing now, and really like I would love to see one day just to be able to just have all these old school people at the track or even just together.
there's actually talk about him driving a car.
I believe it.
I seen him about 6 months ago at my restaurant, and I was like, bro, you would never believe what I got on my phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was like, what? And I showed him an old picture of his the red EF.
Yeah.
He was like, what the? He goes, God damn, that brings back to memories.
I helped Derek move into his little house that he bought, and we were going through Polaroids and stuff. We were looking through pictures, and there's a bunch of that shit. Him, Danny, and Chloe, they were all going through it. But me and Danny were talking off camera one day, and he was saying if I could get someone to drive, he's like, I'm gonna get him to drive the RSX again one of these days. Yeah. So it might happen.
And it's, you know, the thing.
That'd be rad.
It's like Danny, like you see Danny evolve over time and to being so great. Like I remember when Danny was just, you know, the small guy, had the B20 VTEC, all motor car. You know, it's just, the list goes on of so many individuals. And even Warren, I say Warren probably had the biggest influence along with Kevin with Midnight.
Turbo cars for sure.
Yeah, turbo cars and all motor cars. And the thing is that how I even got involved and even become a part of Midnight and even eventually buying it from Warren was I was a customer first. And it started with my red CRX that had a B16 in it. Originally, I bought Place Racing mounts. Place Racing was the first company to come on with a mount kit back in the day. Before that, people were modifying factory mounts. And I ended up buying the B16 swap from a guy named Paul, who now races IMSA. And he was friends with Graphic Effects.
Oh shit.
Back in the day with Royal and
I haven't heard that in hell.
man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
Wow.
So like but that's how far back it goes for me, you know, and so for me there's a true love and passion for Hondas. You know, as much as there was a 2-year span where I stopped tuning, I stopped messing with Hondas and anything at all, just because I felt like I'd outgrown it. But then the phone call came from Steve to present with the M Factory car. That initially when he was getting it built, me and him were tight, and he hit me up, you know, and was like, hey, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to race anymore. You know, he was about to retire. I think he just retired, and he's like, you know, I'll sell you the car. And I was like, I don't want it. And like, I don't want to buy the car, you know. And you know, and the thing is, it's just, I mean, to kind of move things forward with the car. He said, hey, 50,000, and I'm just like, okay, I don't have that sitting around. I'm not, you know what I'm saying, I'm not you.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's a large amount, and he's like, look, man. And this is how I created great relationship with people. He said, look, send me $5,000 and come pick up the car.
Damn.
You know, and that car cost $100,000 to build, like, no bullshit.
Yeah.
You know,
It's got plenty.
Yeah, so it was, you know, and for me, it was really intimidating, so when I was thinking about buying it, I'm hitting up Coleman, you know, and it's like, hey, I'm thinking about buying this car. Then I hit up Ryan from Tech 3, hey, I'm thinking about buying this car. And it's like, car was intimidating to me because I'm just like worried about all the things about the car. Like, am I going to be able to drive it, you know, and stuff. So I'm hitting people.
You buy something with so much history and you not knowing if
Nothing.
you're going to be able to do it that car had done.
Man, and so so initially when I got it, it's just like I was definitely nervous to drive the car, and initially I wasn't planning on driving the car. I was actually gonna get it and have somebody else drive it. But I got up the nerve, and it's just like, and I had driven several fast cars because there was a dealership I used to work for in Reno, and my job was a performance specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime that anyone came in and wanted to buy a car, I take them on test drive. So I'm like 700-800 horsepower GTRs, Hellcats, 1,000 horsepower GT500s, and things like that. And so there's a road called Geiger Grade, which is all winds and turns.
This is in Mexico, right?
Yeah, Mexico. But the thing
I've gotten in trouble for saying roads in California, on the show.
Because
So let's just make sure that's in Mexico, guys. That's in Mexico.
Mexico.
Yeah,
That's
blow
Mexico.
up the spot.
Edit that out, please. Edit that.
Right. One of those logistics type of shit.
So the thing is like after driving all those high horsepower cars, I was never afraid to get in anything, but for some reason this car intimidated me, just because it's just, the first time I drove the car, I'm so used to clutching. So I'm clutching a dog box by the strain gauge. You know what I mean? And the thing is, it's like I'm surprised not too many people said anything about it when I posted the video, because you can hear it on the top end where the car sounds like the clutch is slipping on the top end, but it's me pushing the clutch in and forgetting, like, oh shit, I gotta
Strain.
Yeah, strain gauge. Let off. Let off. And I was actually riding the clutch and pulling on the shifter at the same time, but it took.
Sorry to cut you off here. Do you want to explain? Because some people might not know strain gauge, clutch, dog box. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
Let's get into that a little bit, because I know some of our listeners.
I know quite a few people that have no idea
so
what
a strain gauge.
I'll definitely say this with the strain gauge is, I learned about that in the beginning with Jeremy, who used to be a competitor to Kevin. They would go neck and neck at Sac Raceway back in the day.
It was the yellow.
No, white EG.
The white EG.
White EG, and he was on a strain gauge, and so that was the first time I really ever seen Honda, and I would always ask him, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, I'm trying to set up the strain gauge." I said, "Well, what does it do?" He said, basically, he showed me a log. So he did a pass shifting the car.
Mm-hmm.
Shifting the car, even power shifting the car, you still lose mile an hour. And he was showing me like his car would go like 9.5, 10.0, somewhere in that range. And just regular shifting, he would lose 7, 8, 10 miles an hour between shifts. Most people don't think it's that much,
but
it's a lot. You know what I mean? It makes the difference.
The car falls on his face.
Yeah.
You can see it in the video. It's just...
And so
you're losing boost every time you lose a mile an hour.
Yeah. So he set the strain gauge, and he set the strain gauge up, and it almost showed almost no loss.
Wow.
So basically, a strain gauge, all it is that it's strain or tension. The minute that it feels anything, it cuts ignition. And once it cuts ignition, it allows for like milliseconds. It's short for you to be able to pull on it and pull to the next gear. And with the dog box, it's designed to actually mesh as you pull on it. And that's why even like Clovis in his all motor car, I believe it was a gear set that was faceplated, and that's when I actually learned about faceplating. And Liberty is the one who does that. Even with Charles, the last time I was talking to him when he was at the track, I even told him, I was asking him what are you running, and he told me what he was running. I was like, hey, because I think he's running a Synchro PPG box or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you need to faceplate those.
Yeah, he is now.
Yeah, and so I didn't know about that until like learning from Clovis Senior and Clovis about faceplating gear sets. So then it gives a simulated dog engagement, so to speak, without and getting rid of the synchro. And faceplating, all they do is they weld some kind of gear or something to the actual gear itself, so then it allows you to shift, almost like cluster shifting.
And so a lot of people don't know, but your strain gauge is on your shifter, right?
Yeah.
And that's why people don't understand that when you're in the car, if you watch a lot of these top guys, they're not holding their shifter normally. They're only grabbing their shifter when they're shifting, because the strain gauge is engaged by the shifter.
Holding it.
If you ever watch Boosted Boy's videos when he put it on his MR2, his first couple passes, he kept resting his hand, and it was cutting ignition, so the car would just be like, and it was because he was on the strange gauge and not letting it go.
Yeah. It's a learning curve.
No, sure. there are new strain gauges coming out to where it allows you to rest your hand on the shifter, and it doesn't interrupt the ECU. I can't remember the company that it is, but there is one or two out there that already do it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's basically what the strain gauge is, for the most part. And, it's, when someone tells you just grab a gear and grab it as hard as you can, it's almost like I'm gonna break it.
You mean you grab the e-brake and power over?
Yeah, right. Right. Man, so when I first drove the car and I'm grabbing the gears, it doesn't feel normal or natural at all. But over time you learn. And the crazy thing is, what people don't know, I can't see the dash and I don't have shift lights. I'm a drive-by seat and sound driver. Mm-hmm. So when I drive, I listen, and I can normally hear when the car is losing power or it's at its peak, mm-hmm. and so I shift. But like Shannon from Fame Racing, when I first got the car, I called him and it's like, hey, I'm gonna send these videos on WhatsApp, and he would give me feedback. He'd say, okay, too much air in the tires. You're not in the two-step long enough. Your burners are too short. And just trying all these certain things and just learning. And Shannon initially was when Steve's car went to Vegas in 2013, and that's when I first was with him with the car. And there's actually a photo of me standing with him that ended up going viral. And that's how I ended up getting my initial 4,000 or 5,000 people on Facebook, is because that photo went viral. And it's me standing in front of the car, my hands on my hips or whatever, waiting to stage. Now, when I went to go stage, that was the first time I had ever been on a hot track staging a car. I had no clue what I was doing. And so Shannon was right there. He's like, you don't know? I was like, show me. You know what I mean? And so that's how I initially met Shannon. And the relationship developed from there with him. And so that's where it's like, anytime I have questions. And even like when I bought this past undisclosed turbo that he even was like, why would you even consider doing that when we already had the conversation that you should have bought a Gen 3, and I was just trying to be different. And sometimes in this sport, trying to be different and recreate the wheel, sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah. And you end up wasting money and recreating the wheel. And even like in tuning, I try to tell people all the time, this is what works. I'm going to give you the recipe. Now, if you decide to do this cheaper part, mm-hmm. it happens every single time. They end up having to go to buy the part that I tell them that they need to buy initially. That's kind of like a...
That goes along with what I think we've talked about a little bit of time too, is that people, when building a car, you not only need to talk to your crew chief or your best friend that's helping you work on the car, or your like engine builder, you also need to talk to your tuner, because your tuner is also going to help you too a lot. And a lot of people just build a car and then take it to the tuner mm-hmm. to get tuned, but they don't necessarily have that relationship. And then the tuner doesn't know the car, so he's day one. He's got to figure out everything you got, and he's like,
Well, that falls into the cookie cutter thing that I always say. They go online, they see, oh, this guy runs this. I'm going to buy every part that he has. But you're not going to talk to your tuner and be like, hey, this turbo could be better for what you're doing than that could be, or this manifold could be better for this, or this tire size could be. Yeah, exactly. All that stuff could be different for what you're trying to do. It's not just, hey, this guy has this online, I'm going to buy all that shit. No. It doesn't always work. The cookie cutter thing doesn't always work.
It doesn't work at all, and that's the thing is even with my car, it's a little more advanced than I could ever set up from zero, which I'm going to have to do. Unfortunately, the ECU is locked, so I'm driving the car blind.
Are you still on Honda, or are you on Motec?
No, that's on Motec. It's on M800. So it's blind.
So you're on Gold Box. Now you gotta go to what the what's the new one? It's a black box.
Oh, the M150.
Yeah, because they don't have Gold Box anymore, right?
They do.
I think there's still some floating around.
Yeah. They're floating around. I've been looking around. You can't go through Motec for a Gold Box anymore.
Well, you can go through them and have them erase it, but that's all you can really do. Oh, okay. But you have to go through you can go directly to Motec and have them erase it. But it's better for you to go through an actual dealer or tuner. Mm. And I've spoken with Jason Hunt. I've talked to Abe, and they've all told me the same thing. weight in the front of the car, you know, and everybody has their own opinions. Right now, there's no weight on the front of the car. And that's one thing for 2021 that
you don't have any bars.
There's no weight,
nothing.
there's no traction
Wow.
wheels, no nothing on the front of that car, and it still cuts 1.560 foots. The car is NHRA class legal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was built for originally. So I believe it's 2450.
Yeah, but you're on the West Coast. They ain't no
Yeah,
rules.
We actually had a discussion about that. Well, Chad brought that up the other day on one of his little Facebook posts, and they were talking about that. There are no rules over here.
Why do you
And
think
it's-
I've been trying to get people into Boddies?
But so that's I was just about to get into that.
24.5-inch tire and a belly pan. That's all that is. You don't have to have no weight.
Yep.
24.5-inch slick, belly pan. Because that was a knock on imports was they were messing up the track all the time. Belly pan saves all that.
Oh, it does, 100%.
Honestly, talking about Reading, that was that first day really started to not look good for us because
Everybody broke.
There was no old
I
downs.
mean-
So there was no old downs,
No.
and there was no time on the track where it was like anybody was like, "Damn, the import messed up the track, and now we got an hour of downtime."
Thank you, Mason, for throwing Rob through the block and not through the pan.
I thought the brake locked up or something. When I
We
seen that
all
spark.
thought
We all
that.
thought
I was
that.
like, "Oh, he's good."
And then we
Go
get
home.
down
There was
there
like
and
no
there's-
smoke or nothing. I was like, "Oh, it's just maybe something rock got in there and it's." No, he was.
Because it came out the side, like it
Yeah.
looked really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all thought the same thing.
And I think Carrie's block did the same exact thing.
I think so.
Yeah. So.
Then plus you
And
had
then
that guy,
Matt's
Yeah.
too.
Matt's, and then you also
And the funny thing about Matt is he told him, he was like, "Bro, I turned it
All the way up.
Oh,
See,
you could tell.
so-
Yeah.
That car,
we
that
could
car
tell.
sounded
He
good.
said he turned it all the way up.
And had my car not broke during that pass, it would have been a great race because the cars were comparable.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I had to switch to a different turbo for that next event or for the next day. I was on a Borg, an old ass Borg Warner, from somebody. This guy Jason, I can't remember his last name, but somebody I knew back in the day. He had a blue EG, and it was a Bay Area car that ended up in Reno, and that was on a Borg S400, a 74 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
So when did you swap it out? At the middle of the
Last night.
Saturday.
Saturday night.
so everything happened.
So right when we got there Saturday, he blew his turbo because that pass he
Yeah.
made.
Because it was funny because
That's right when we
the
got
guy,
there, and then
the starter was like, because I was betting the starter. Anytime something happened,
Yeah.
we were betting if there was oil on the track. Anytime something happened with import, because his mind, that's the first thing that
Yeah.
I was 3 for 3. There was no oil in it, because when that happened, it was smoke everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, "Oh, there's oil." I said, "No, that was a turbo. Ain't no oil." He came back, handed me my money. He was like, "Ain't no oil." So, like, fire him up.
So originally, most of the time I wouldn't even brought the car out because it was last minute for me, and I just felt like the car wasn't prepared. But Mo and I go back, a long time. I want to say probably 15 years or so, and all the Boddie events, he always hits me up like, come out, come hang out. And so there've been a few times we come out, hang out, and I'll be on the track with him. We'll be talking, and
I'm usually at the starting line betting.
so
Trying to make some
I
money.
don't think let the import dudes know. I don't know if they know how much money is to be
Dude.
made.
It's crazy.
at a
much.
Boddie.
sitting in that fucking line, dude.
It's crazy.
Yo, hey,
You can pay your rent
I
for
lost,
money if you
all
bet
my
right.
money, and then I only had $5 left. I looked at Bodie. I said, "Man, you want $5?" I was like, "I got $5 left." He was like,
I put in
"I'll
3
take
with
that,
your
man."
fucking.
You'll find somebody take a
Shit,
$2
we
bet
lost
if
almost
it's there.
$1,000 in the pit with that dude with the little caps.
Oh my! Hey, why was I thinking about that dude?
Why did I tell you not to walk away? I told you not
Hey,
to walk
I
away.
remember a trick though, cause he would do like this, and then when he would sit it down, he would turn
We
it
all
down.
walked over there. I walked over. I was like, and he snuck in on him. He let him win one. I said, "Bro, you guys are done." I was like, "Walk away now." And he was like, "No, we got
I
it."
won once and then I lost once. I was done. I was like, you guys have fun.
I never bet. I was like, hell no.
I was like, "Just walk away now." I was
But
like,
I caught him as he was doing
would turn
the other
it-
one. Yeah,
turn
he
the
would turn the
board.
plate every time.
Yeah,
and he would do it so you wouldn't notice
Yep.
him turning the plate.
Either
because
as
you're
he dropped
looking back
it or
at
as
your
he
money
picked
or
it up.
something like that, and you wouldn't realize it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking about that moment the other
Oh,
day.
yeah. There's all kinds of money to make.
Yeah.
See, that
races,
dude,
man.
yeah.
At the dunk races, it was like 7 of them dudes out there just hustling people. I'm like, oh, it's a hustle.
Hey, make your money.
Like,
Man, but the race, I had the street racer mentality is where, you know what? He called me, and I knew how important it was for the import scene to have a new face, a new chapter written. Because the CMIs and all in the race wars and everything else, they're great. They're great events. But now it's time to bring something else in that introduce something new to the scene. And being at a Boddie event, it's like, oh man, Team Boddie
totally different.
already has a brand behind himself, and to be able to put imports behind that, could definitely change the game. So coming to Reading, I was just like, you know what, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. It is what it is. And that's where I put the car on the dyno. It made not that great of power. It only made 800. You know what I mean?
Only.
But that's like saying 12s aren't fast anymore.
Yeah.
They aren't. 800's not fast anymore. It's like you're 1,000 and 1,200 all day.
It made 800, and I knew that because I had no access to anything, that I was driving a time bomb, and so it was just a matter of time before something happened. So unfortunately, my last pass, yes, the clutch was gone, and motor let go on the top end. And I didn't realize it until I pulled the chute and I was coming down the return road and I'm driving the car and I look down. Oh, I only have 7 psi oil pressure. You know what I mean?
So what actually let go on it?
I honestly haven't taken it apart yet.
Oh, okay.
So, but I know it has a rod knock. There's some weird sound. So I'm gonna assume the worst and say that I'm probably gonna need.
It can't be that worse. You ain't got holes.
I don't have holes. I'm just hoping that.
Matt had a hole.
Yeah.
Everybody had holes.
I had never seen nobody have it.
Mason
Matt
had a
was
hole.
extremely like he came around. I was like, dude, there's all this milky shit on there. He was like, I blew it up, and he was like,
He was happy.
He was like, dude, it was my best pass ever.
Man.
He was like, and I want him. His whole thing was, I got the bounty.
Yep.
Because he beat Andre.
Yeah, he got the
beat
bounty.
Andre, so he got the bounty.
And to top it all off,
And they had a $100 side bet. Too,
man, we had a $100 side bet. And the thing was, is like we were all around and
Boddie suckered
being
y'all
in,
in, didn't y'all? Did he sucker y'all into that side bet in the
no,
chip draw?
I don't remember how it happened. All I know is we were sitting there and everybody else is like side betting and everything else, and he looks at me, he's like, "What is side bet?" I'm like, "Why not, man? Here,
We're here.
$100 to the winner." And that is great racing to me. Not so much about the time, and for me, coming to the track was more like therapy, because recently my brother passed, and then on top of that, 2 weeks after that, arson came in and set basically cars on fire and burned up my brand new car. So I needed that outlet, no matter what happened. And most people would be upset for blowing up a $5,000 block and losing a $3,000 turbo. But the thing is I wasn't thinking about the money.
No.
I was thinking about, I'm around friends. It's something new.
Having a good time.
I
You hadn't been out here in a while.
I had been out in a while. I hadn't driven the car in a
I think
year.
it was good for a lot of people to be up there. I mean, it was the same way with me. I went up there and I was like, man, this feels good to be back at the track again.
You know,
Yeah.
and even though I talked to Mason blew up, but he still
I
had
still talk to him, too.
he still
He's
had
a
a
great
blast. Even Matt, like I said, when Matt blew up, we went over there to the pit. Biggest smile on his face.
Dude, the next day,
Hella happy.
Yeah.
next day,
Because he just had puppies and he don't
yeah,
give
the
a
next
shit.
day, Matt's wife hits me up and was like, he's had a litter. He's already getting the motor rebuilt.
Yeah.
Like, we can't wait for
Well,
the
dude,
next
as soon as he blew it up, he came to the pit and he was talking to Ken
He's
and
like-
John. He was like, hey, I need a motor.
He's like, I'm ready
You
for
tell
the
me
next
how
one.
much, it's there.
And the crazy thing
I
was
was
like,
jeez.
Saturday night, he was doing licenses passing. He was racing against one of the domestics, one of the guys that come all the time, and he won. And everybody went ape shit on the line. And then we get back to the pits, and me and my cousins were all sitting there talking. And my cousin was like, he didn't win. And then everybody was like, no, he won. So my cousin decided to go over to the dude and was like, what happened? And came back and was like, we won $1,000 grudge race right now. That's how,
And they asked me. And they
that's
asked
how
me.
the excitement was. Like, we want $1,000. And we was like, he got no turbo going. Like, but it was like, we want $1,000 race right now. And like, that's a different environment.
I think that's going to be like you were saying with the money of this whole thing. I think that's going to be a great thing for the imports versus domestics with the Boddie thing is
And
you
it's
have
only-
all those domestics that think of Hondas as a bad way,
Yeah.
but once they start getting
And
beat
it's,
and
and it's
seeing how
only, and
well
it's
they
only
really
good part
are
of it.
built.
Like, nobody's like, especially at the Boddie event. I see at the inter-trade events where somebody can be like, they can start looking down. But there it's all family.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
People, like,
Yeah.
SVP Carey didn't have a race jacket.
Yeah.
Bo in his trailer and let him use his race jacket so he can race on something.
Yeah.
And that's why I talked to Monty too, because I was like, man, like honestly, some of us not saying feeling intimidated, but we feel like y'all don't want to be around us at the track and stuff like that. And Monty was like, no, bro. And he pulled me aside. We had a whole conversation about it.
Like that,
and he was hella cool. He's like, no, we want you guys here. You know, he's like the Boddie events.
Until you talk to Bubba.
Yeah, until you talk to
Bubba's
something else, bro.
Bubba's a totally different character.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but you know, Monty was saying like at the Boddie events here, at the Team Boddie stuff. He's like, no, we're all love. You're part of the racing. We want to help y'all. We know y'all help us. So we want everybody to go fast. He's like, we won't beat you, but we want to go fast. But he was like, nah. He goes, it's not like those other guys.
Like,
he goes, we know who those guys are. He goes, we don't want them around us either.
Like,
but he was cool.
Bubby lost to that Evo, so he can't say nothing. He begins to mention that when he says lawnmower, but he lost to that Evo because he didn't turn on the nitrous bottle. He says.
Oh, jeez.
So
it's always something.
So he still owes me a foot race because he was backing out Sunday.
Better get 10 grand ready.
That's something else too.
Wild.
Man, foot racing is nuts. When I first saw that, I asked Mom, I was like, they're about to race for money? He's like, man, there's money. They be betting like crazy. And it's crazy because that night, it actually just showed 2 years ago, the night when Bo, when you told me that he was having a problem with his line lock and he was bumping past the beams. That same night.
I used to call him, for a long time, the bump box wouldn't hold.
Man.
And so I called him Bump Box Buddy because he was losing the church's money with the bump box. It wasn't even like him passing. It was just the bump box would not hold. It bump, and then bump through the beams.
Damn.
But that same night though was when I 2 years ago was when I first experienced foot racing. I'm just like, they're about to race for money.
It's a track of the world. I won $1,600. He was there and it was a random dude.
That's wild.
And it starts out. What happens is something that happens on the track and it's downtime.
I can run faster than
Well,
that.
I see that on the street all the time. They're like, until it was a Boddie event, I'd never seen it on the track, but I've seen it on the street all the time.
Yeah, I've seen it on the
They'd be
street.
sitting there bored as hell in the street race, and all of a sudden they'd be like, hey, what's good? What's wrong?
Downtime.
Yeah,
as soon
that's
as
all it is.
downtime hits, you walk off to this. You know who was good at it? Was Monty.
Yeah.
Monty would sucker you into a bet. So Monty would be like, we gonna race 30 feet, all right? I get the hit. Literally, I get the hit. And you know he's a bigger dude. Literally, he said, I get the hit. I get, you know what I mean? So I get to go. So what he would do is he'd talk to you.
Yeah.
Oh, you ain't ready. And you just start running out of nowhere. And by then it was too late.
Yeah.
But he was notorious for getting dudes.
Well, that's
like
what I
that.
was saying today with him. He was like, oh, when we were talking about money earlier, he was like, I'll just outrun him. I was like, I got short track though. What's up? Because I can run quick, just not far.
Right.
That, like I was talking to, Hybrid Chris about like grudge racing. I'm like, yeah, a lot of these cars.
I'm gonna call you out next Boddie event, bro. It's good.
Bro, I know
I'm taking off all my clothes.
Hey, didn't somebody get naked at one
Texas.
event?
Yeah.
Texas, he got naked. He was in boxes, right?
Yeah.
He took off all his clothes, took 2 swigs of Hennessy.
If anybody ever gets like that for a foot race, bet on him.
And they all did. And they absolutely all did. My brother told me, he said, once they found out who actually was running, he said the dudes came running out the stands to place bets. That's all that dude did at those events, was come out the stands and blow somebody's doors off and win money.
You trying to make money?
Usain Bolt just comes out of nowhere.
He said they were, I think it was Suge. They said my brother said once they heard he was running, he said he had dudes tapping him on the shoulder. Hey, you want? Let me get some of this. He was like, at that point in time, he said, I put my money back in my pocket.
That's funny.
Man.
But then we went way sideways.
Shit, hey, but that's what it's about though.
Yeah. So,
We want to talk more about the Boddie events coming up for next year. You want to talk
No,
about that at all?
There will be one big one for sure. Like there'll be at every race there will be an SUV class. But they won't have the big payout.
Okay.
I'm trying to do one big payout. And right now I think I got the pot at like 3,200 with Bose and then the sponsorship for the shirt back.
Yeah.
And then on top of that you got your entry fee.
Yeah.
So and that goes straight to the pot. Like so yeah, like if you go to CMI you pay $50 and you win 800 or whatnot. Like
do they have any idea on what they're doing track wise yet? Just SAC? Reading,
I'm pretty
SAC,
sure no,
Vegas?
I know for sure no Reading.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure SAC, Fontana most likely because we've been there before, and probably Bakersfield.
Okay.
Sonoma will never happen. It's just you can't you won't be able to get on the track like you want to.
Yeah,
like he races in Sonoma.
Yeah, they just don't want no one near it.
You won't be there, so
It's too regulated.
Yep.
And the cost of renting out the track to get the gate money would be ridiculous.
And that's where, like, for me with my car, with the Boddie events coming next year, I already don't have enough time anyway, especially being a single father, to race all year long, to go to IFO, CMI, and everything else. But I will attend all the Boddie events, and I'm actually considering not the one in January that he posted in Chuckwaller.
That's a street. That one's strictly street race. So if you know dudes that want a street race like that, that is strictly bring your own pit juice or whatever to prep, because it's in the middle of the desert on a road course, and they race all damn night. Because there's no curfew, so it starts at whenever. Last time, because it was hot, it didn't start till like 9 o'clock at night. They raced till 7 o'clock in the morning.
That's crazy. That's cool.
The closest hotel is 40 miles or 50 miles, and they have tiki huts at the track you can rent, like full blown like huts that have that you can rent out. So, but that one was legit too. That he had that one I didn't go to, but my brother did, and he said it was packed just like anything else. That's where the dude with the Lambo goes. The yellow, green Lambo?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about,
I think he either won it or went to the finals in the small tire with that Lambo at the Boddie one out there.
That was before he had the
before he had slicks on.
Yeah.
Still got beat though.
So you're saying you're for sure going to the Boddie. Any IFOs or race wars, anything you thinking about? I mean, I know the schedule's not really out yet, but does any of that interest you at all?
As of right now, probably not. Only for me. Here's the thing: is it's a hobby for me. Number one, and number two, the biggest reason why I have the car is for family. You know, that's why I have my car. So when I go to events, I bring my sons with me. They're younger, so the twins are 15, and then my 11-year-old. The 11-year-old is the one who aspires to be a race car driver the most.
That's cool.
But just to have them around it. So for me, they love Boddie, from watching them on TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's what they love, and that's why we always go to those events. So more than likely, I'll end up coming to those. If I'm at CMI or IFO or any of those events, it's because I have a car that I tuned and that I'm supporting. It's hard for me to race at an event, and then just at this past event in Reading, there was 2 cars that came with me. Unfortunately, one broke. The other one had wiring issues, and he went through a TPS and so on. But in between my sessions, he's like, hey, the car's doing this, so I'd have to stop my thought process of what's going on with my car to go and try to tune this over here. And so
you shut your brain down and go open your brain for somebody else's car.
So it's hard, and that's why I tell them, it's like, look, if I go to an event and race, I can't tune your car. And that's why I tell people when I tune their cars, I will give you the basic fundamentals on how to add fuel and pull fuel from the table. More so now than ever. So then you can learn your car, and I tell people that all the time, is like having a locked ECU and going to an event and having to call your tuner to have them look at a log. Sure, maybe you pay them $300-400 to look at the log, but you're there. You're the driver.
Yeah, they can't hear and see what
you can't hear and see.
A video can only do so much.
And okay, they might be able to look at DA on a phone or on the internet or whatever, but it's not gonna give them the ideal situation for the car. And so for me, Boddie's pretty much all I'm gonna run. Only because I like the rules. It's 24.5, and that be that. If I do run an IFO or a CMI event, I might do one, possibly. More likely IFO more than anything else. But really to run IFO and CMI, not so much CMI, but IFO, because I know the caliber of cars. Think Fat, you got Fame. You have D. Butler tuning a bunch of cars. Those cars are all fast. That red Integra that came up to Race Wars.
Sin City's?
Yeah, not Sin City. There's another red Integra. But Sin City's car, I mean, you have all these cars.
Yeah. Not Juju Bill, right?
Maybe.
I mean, you got Juju Bill too. That's another people that just won up in
Oh, he did, yeah.
Yeah, Juju Bill won the Sport Formula Drive out in Arizona.
Yeah.
That was me and my brother's whole goal, was just to bring the fastest dudes together on the West Coast.
Money will bring it.
Yeah, the money will
You know
bring
what I mean? Like, where can
and with being an open class like you guys want to do,
where can you go
too.
to have the fastest domestic race cars and import cars in one place at one time?
It only happens twice a year on the East Coast.
On the East Coast, like West Coast, like I follow the East Coast. Like West Coast ain't never gonna be like that, where you get a hauler from New York that's taking, or New Jersey that's taking 6 cars down to Florida. like down the whole, you'll never get that here. So it's more or less.
Look at the payout though.
That's my point.
You're going to Florida, New York, Maryland, whatever, and you're making $10,000 for a
But that's
race.
my point. Like,
Right.
You
I
ain't
never,
gonna come here for $1,000.
That's what I thought. I
$500
never
bucks.
thought
Like
that.
it ain't gonna happen.
like
Yeah.
me thinking Fat Kid was gonna show up was a bonus. Matt showing up, I had no idea. So them dudes just showing up for
Yep.
me was, and you know, he walked away with $1,400-$1,500.
Yep.
Like it's a 10-hour drive each way, but I'm thankful he showed up because
Hey, 10-hour drive, make $2,000.
Hey, not bad.
I'll drive 10
Yeah,
hours.
I'll do that.
Not bad at all.
I mean, that's not a bad.
And
Hanging
that's,
out with your friends, have a good day at the track as always, side betting, whatever. I mean,
and that's all I want is people to come out, have a good time, enjoy what's going on.
yeah.
And the cool thing is about being that is even if, you know, like for us, we were spectators, but helping, you know, Mason. But shit, once he broke, it was all fun. We were like, even he left his car, was like, let's go watch racing. So we went to the stage lines, watched races all morning and all the night, rest of the night and shit. So, you know, you still get to have fun. You still get to watch some of the baddest fucking cars
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
West Coast, period, go down the fucking
And
track.
like the show that the imports put on opened up a lot of people's eyes. Like that didn't know the cars are that fast.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
you
that's-
never understood.
Like my coworker was there, and his son, I guess, races with Bo, and we were talking. They were like, "Dude, I didn't know.
Ex-
You know,
and they-
I didn't know they could do this." Like,
they had no
they're
idea.
like, whoa.
You know, they see what's on the internet or what people's, because for a long time, Bo was like, I heard they tear up the track. And I was, for years, I'd be like, no.
They kind of
They
do,
street
but
cars, but, you know, give them a shot. And finally, that's why I was like, I hope people, I was like, if I get 6 cars, I'm happy.
yeah.
You know, so
So what was the end total that we had to show up? It was 12 cars
11
and then
cars.
11 and then 9
Nine for
performed.
for somewhere that's 3 hours in the middle of nowhere.
Right. That's what I was saying. If you
It's-
can get down to Fontana, Bakersfield, or here, Sac,
like
any of
I
that
said,
stuff, if
Sac-
you can get there,
So
dude, I'm sure.
the next big
16
one, like,
Garfield, all
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. I mean, you get Julian up here. You can get.
but Think
Big
Fat
you
actually
can
walked
get
away with
Driver
more
B,
money
you
than
can get-
any other class except
Tire.
for Big Tire.
Yeah.
He took home more money than any class other than Big Tire. Small Tire only had 3 cars in it. So
That was fun. That was fun. I can't wait till the next one for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and so the other thing is like even in the event, the EF hatch that had the K in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, number one, that car. So the motor that's in that car,
he didn't have
most
gas.
people won't even believe.
It came from Sonic.
Yeah, it's a Sonic's old motor.
Oh shit.
So when he raffled that motor, I think
Yeah.
a year ago.
Yeah.
Somebody in Fresno won the raffle, and then this dude hit me up one day. He was like, "Hey, if I buy this, can you tune it?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine." I was like, "What are you gonna buy?" And so he sent me a list. I'm like, "What is this?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's some guy Sonic from the East Coast. I don't know who it is." And I'm like, "Oh, well, if you don't know, you need to look it up."
Right.
And so ended up happening is he paid $5,000 for the motor, the whole long block. It's a JBRE 99 millimeter motor, and 14.5 to 1 has drag cartel,
Yeah,
stage
you
5.
got a $10,000 motor for
Yeah,
$5,000.
$5,000.
Can't beat that.
And so he was like, "Hey, can I come to the Boddie event?" I was like, "Run in the street class." Right? So that car only got one good pass, or semi decent pass,
Yeah.
with a bunch of problems still. It
Yeah.
went
What? Ignition problems?
ignition problems, the TPS, found out the fuel pump was wired incorrectly, just so many different things. And he was still on an alternator, but somehow the car was wired for 16 volts, but they converted one wire. Anyhow, I know that the car is fast.
So next year it should make some
It
fun.
should make. So he ended up. He just ordered 75 millimeter ITBs from Drag Cartel,
Whew.
Kinslers, because he asked me. He's like, "What should I order?" I said, You know what?
The new big dogs.
"Get the new big dogs because you're not done. You're gonna end up building another car." And he already had hit me up talking about a 106 short block. So
I would never. I don't know. I'm impartial to those because you're seeing all these people are still doing them on 99s.
yeah.
Those
So
106s are just.
the M199 motors. I mean, you see it. Those guys. Just the M1 cars like Brandon Jefferson from Four Piston. His car was 9.4.
Yep.
All day long.
Consistent.
And like he even posted the last post on Instagram, he posted the car was 1,935 pounds on
Damn.
M1, 99 millimeter motor.
I think that's like the third time last event or so that I've seen both 4-piston cars in M1 in the finals, neck and neck, and won by like 10,000th of a second or some
Yeah.
shit like that. Like, it's crazy. Those cars just do it consistently.
Consistently.
That's what I
all
say.
day long.
And that's the same thing. Albert used to run a 106, and he had issues after issue after issue after issue. went back to a 99, and now he runs great. I mean, when he actually goes to the track, but he runs great.
You know what's crazy now is you saw TB. He's notorious for this though. He did on the B series, and I was gonna comment on Instagram, and I was like, nah, leave it alone. But now has a deck plate on the 24 motor, which a lot of people don't know. On his CRX, he'll have a deck plate on it, a welded deck plate.
Yeah, he said he's been doing that for years.
Forever, you know, and I mean, man, he knows how to make power.
That guy is not dumb. So, he is not dumb at all.
So one thing about him is, so he posted that he made 700 all motor, right? We talked about this, and then he went and ran the M1 class over there, and then he won 2-1 though.
Yeah,
Or
he won
2-1.
Yeah, but I was in the M1 class. There's no way he made 700 on the M1.
No.
No, he went K.
No,
He's K now,
K.
but I was like, is he saving that for World Cup? You know what I mean? Was he just testing and then
It's hard to
put
say.
M1? You know what I mean? That's why I was confused. I had to hit him about it. I'm like,
The only thing that I could probably say on that, and not even knowing because I haven't asked, but the only thing I could say is he went testing to get everything figured out on M1. Because Nitro, you're going to end up toasting something. Or it's more likely to toast something on Nitro.
Yeah.
So if he wanted to get the car working, the motor working, everything working, since it's a brand new setup, never hit the track before this, M1's smart.
Man, that Nitro stuff, man, is crazy because like when a lot of people doubted the high horsepower numbers, but the thing is that once I saw the high horsepower numbers, then I started paying attention to the motor. And like on TB's car, he had in front of the car, it's a belt-driven ignition coil that is the same as what's on top fuel to burn the nitro. The factory coils can't burn M1 or nitro, and so like so you have to at least go to Peru too. He sells the kit. AEM he actually even sells the external coils for K-Series. But
well, they have them for Bs and everything now.
Yeah, for everything now. So on the nitro cars, now it's almost becoming not affordable to build an all motor car to making that much horsepower because the coil that they're using, that thing is $3,000 just for the coil. You know, but I understand it though because nitro needs to burn at a certain temperature, and factory ignitions can't keep up with it.
They can't get that.
So
Yeah, that whole Nitro game's nuts.
it's crazy.
You know it's coming.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, I'd say yes and no. Yes, there's gonna be new stuff coming for the import scene, but who would have thought that it would have been Nitro over the next game?
Well, I mean, nitro's been around though. So Chris Miller, when he had the FTW fuel, that was the main ingredient of the fuel, and even so now
it just was a lower percentage at that point.
Yeah, and so like now, even like the VPC 85, if you read the ingredients on the side of the C85, it's nitropropane, and so it's just like I've studied fuels over a short amount of time, and so nitromethane actually doesn't mix well with other fuels. Nitropropane does. And a lot of, I learned from Klotz Fuels on what nitropropane and nitromethane were, and they said it's almost like splitting an atom, essentially, in fuels.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, we had talked about that before. It's your nitrometh versus nitropropane versus nitrous. It's all just a half a molecule to a full molecule away from each other. It's such a little...
Small.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it's crazy how it works. It's insane.
Yeah, but to go back to the question of if I'm going to race anything other than Boddie, my mindset is that it's like I told Mo, if I come to an event and I bring a car and the motor is $15,000 and the payout's $1,500 and it costs me $1,500 to get there and I blow my motor up, I get it, the love for the sport, but at the same time though, from a financial standpoint, it would only make sense for me to go to an event that's going to pay. If I blow something up and I win, then I can at least replace it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's why I like those East Coast events. Granted, most of those cars are super crazy the way they're set up now, but at least the payout's $10,000 and it'll cover something. That $10,000 might cover maybe their short block or long block or whatever on a B series.
But
car.
That's still better than nothing.
Better than nothing. So
but $10,000 is better than $1,000.
Yeah,
that's what I've always said here. Is, we've talked about this. Is you look at payouts. You have fuel to get to the track, entry in, building your fucking car, fuel for the day. I mean, you have countless money to race, to possibly blow up because you're going for your best time or, to win.
All of it.
And you only make $1,000. I mean, nobody here other than now Boddie pays over $2,000. Not a single race. Doesn't matter what class you're in.
Exactly. And that's where it's like they do it for the sport and the love of the sport. Hey, mad respect to that. But for me personally, because this is a hobby for me and this is not how I make money, I want to be able, if I'm going to bring this car out and I just dumped, like now I know right now my bill to put my car back together is probably $10,000, 10 to 15,000.
I mean, you got almost 3 just for a turbo.
You know what I mean? So this big event coming up next year at the Boddie event, it's going to be a decent sized purse to where I'll feel comfortable bringing the car. It's like, okay, if something gets damaged, then I know I can replace what's damaged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Well, and that's why I've said that a bunch, and everyone, a lot of people have disagreed with me. It's not money. That's not money. I'm like, if you paid more, a lot more people would attend.
Absolutely.
Race wise, not spectators. Race wise.
That's
But
bottom line.
you bring more racers, you're gonna bring more spectators. I'm not gonna pay to watch him race. I've seen him race. But I'm gonna pay to watch Drag Cartel race or Think Fat race or you're paying to watch these big people. I don't go to the racetrack to watch a bunch of 1050 class or 1250
it's
class.
the name that brings people out, and people don't understand. Sometimes, like a CMI, hey, pay somebody to come out.
Like, it's cool to watch racing. I'll watch any racing. I love racing. But if I'm paying 50, 60, 20 bucks, whatever, in that range to go watch a race, I don't want to watch a bunch of 1250 cars or a bunch of 16-second cars. I'm wanting to go to a race to watch. If I want to see those cars, I'll go to a Wednesday night fun drag.
And that's like goes along with what Mason said when he lives in Bakersfield. When Speed Factory would come down to Bakersfield, he would tell everybody go, and then more people like, oh, what you got?
Everybody
World's
knows.
Fastest Honda, or whatever, shows up. Boom, everybody. It's an attraction.
Well, and it's funny to watch race wars just for an example. When they brought all the East Coast guys over here, think how much bigger that race was than SAC.
Oh yeah,
East Coast. I mean, when you brought Farrell over here, everyone's like, "Holy shit, Farrell's coming! Oh fuck, I'm going." It's the names.
I mean, the thing is too is like even when they bring the Fast and Furious guys, like when Noel comes, he's like Noel's at every fucking everything, and no one his line's never long. But they brought what's the one that drives the Jetta? Jesse.
Oh.
They brought Jesse and they brought someone else. Bro, the fucking line
it's new.
was crazy.
It's new.
His line was bigger than Bow Wow's line.
I can
You
tell you,
know what I
race
mean?
wars have more black people at it than they ever had before. I'm just saying because Little Bo and her guys were racing that day.
Yeah.
Like it's a following. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, it was the same thing when they brought all the Harley guys out. When all the Harleys.
Exact same thing. Like it's crazy how it works, but it really does work that way. When the first time Bo brought the Street Outlaws out, I had never seen Sack.
Dude, I made a point to get out there just because Kai was out there. And I seen Kai race.
This is
I lived in Tennessee.
When he brought up
Doc and Monza.
Yeah.
You couldn't park in either side of the dirt. The front parking lot was full. The second
I'm just
was
saying
full.
though, when he started bringing those names, it got crazy, and people have seen those people race.
And then you know how many passes they made?
Oh yeah. I mean, when Kai came, he made 2 passes.
They made 1 pass.
Donkmaster and SS Sean.
Yeah, the first one I was out on that one
Bro,
too.
that one was fucking insane, bro.
Dunkmaster's name, bro.
Donkmaster and then SS Sean, he's a hometown hero for this whole Bay Area,
And
Valley,
he
everything.
He lost a bunch of money on the red light.
Goddamn clutch.
Oh wow.
His clutch looked like a motherfucker.
Losses on the red light. And had enough to all the way just walk.
Oh, he was gonna walk. And Donkmaster was making hit after hit after hit, and I'm like, he's got nothing for him.
It's the same thing like Sac Speed Shop. Their last event was huge. They oversold the track.
Wow.
You look at these import events. If you're not paying anybody or bringing anybody big names, you're not gonna have people.
No.
The import scene is more of a car show scene.
Oh yeah.
So that's why at Race Wars it's sold out, but it's because of the car show and the races get pushed to the back.
Yep.
So then.
That's one thing that we talk about on this show, which I forgot to do my
racing and only
I forgot
racing.
to do my damn intro. I was gonna do that on everyone, but that's what we were talking about was that's why we started the show because we want to bring racing back, whether it's track racing or street racing. We're into both. You know what I mean? We want to bring it back to that. So that's why it's great appreciation that you are doing what you're doing for the sport and helping us.
Well,
That's
the sad part. That's the sad part with CMI.
Like it was just me trying to get get the whole thing.
No, because
going,
a lot of
but
people don't know that you're one of the ones that pioneered leading the sport for one drive class into the outlaw. The outlaw.
I've been wanting it for years.
Yeah,
like,
and
Well, that's the sad
My
part.
brother
CMI started as an import racing.
So the first
Compact
time,
motor
I'm gonna tell you
import.
how
I
it
mean-
all really got going. The first time Bo and them were at Race Wars, he seen all the chicks walking around. He was like, how do I get this out of my event? And I was like, there's two things you can either do. Bring the cars or bring the car show. He's like, can't you do the car show? I was like, bring the cars.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you pay models. You can't just expect a model to come.
no. Like,
You have a model.
Yeah, bam.
And that's another thing that brings people to the stands too. You have a model lounge. Do a bikini contest in between rounds, whatever. I mean, it's huge.
Well, that's it's kind of like
It's like a Nopi.
a
used to
small duplicate of Nopi back in the day.
Yeah.
Nopi
yeah.
was man.
Nope, was crazy.
Man, Nopi was all kinds of crazy. Yeah. And the thing is like the coverage that they had in Super Street magazine back in the day was crazy. It'd be like a 2 or 3 page ad just about Nopi.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing. It's that whole business logic of you have to spend money to make money.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not spending anything, just expecting money to come in, it ain't gonna happen. It might happen the first event you have because you're like, ooh, a new event. But then when they go to it, they're just like, oh, this is the same thing as always.
when I first started going to CMIs, it was packed.
Yep.
Packed,
People
always.
everywhere.
Well, that was the
Always.
same thing with like the first 2 race wars. The first 2 race wars were huge. I mean, there was lines all the way to Jackson Highway. Now, it's the same cars, same show, same
And that's,
everything.
and that's where like Battle of the Imports back in the day.
Yep.
It was strictly racing.
Yep.
I mean, you would see there's names that you don't even see anymore.
Yep.
But
I get on Jason about that all the time. Every time I see Jason, I'm like, hey, why don't you guys bring back Battle of the Imports? He's like, I won't do it.
Like I was telling Andre, I was like, I was at the first NHRA import event in Sonoma.
Yeah.
Like the very first one they had. My boy Joey actually, they had Jen there. I don't know if you remember he won.
Little rapper.
Yeah,
Who don't remember
actually
Jen?
battled
Who
him
don't
on-
remember Jen?
Actually battled him on stage that event, like because I was going with Midnight and Kevin, all those guys, and so like we were at that. Went to Palmdale, like just up and down Bakersfield, you name it. Arizona, we
Man,
went to
Bowtie.
Wild
Bowtie
Horse,
was-
Arizona. So I've seen it from the beginning to now, and it's crazy. Like when you see all the money that was in the sport at one point in time,
And now there's
where,
nothing.
where there's none. You know what I mean? Like because at that point in time, it was money flying everywhere. Everybody had a piece of the pie.
Yep.
But things happen. People do wrong things, and then corporate sponsors be like,
Well, and that was the thing
Can't
that I was saying to him the other day. I mean, you think about it. Corporate sponsors aren't going to sponsor a car when they can just build their own car and sponsor it. It's like JBRE. They have their own car. Why would they sponsor
it's
other
like
cars if
shops.
they have their own?
Like most shops are smart enough now to know, hey,
They build their own
I can
car,
build my
write
own
it off,
car,
yep.
write it off.
Yep. That's why a lot of sponsors are gone. And it sucks.
I mean, you saw like Castro and Jojo Callos back in the day, and you had, man, the list goes on. You had Kenny Tran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With his car.
Jotec.
Yeah, Jotec.
I would love to see a hot rod car built to
Man.
this technology today.
Oh yeah.
Or
Well, we
finish.
talk about that all the time.
Or
Think
finish.
about one of the Nitro motors into like Danny's RSX.
Oh man.
That car would be
No, that's like what we were
insane.
saying on Charles' episode with his car.
Yeah.
If you take that single cam out, you put it on one of these nitro motors,
And get it
that thing's
lined
gonna
out, yeah.
fucking fly, dude.
Well, I don't know if you saw Rome Built posted Norris's
Yeah.
all motor car.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The chassis car, they're saying prepping it or getting it ready or whatever. So, I mean, they've
Norris,
been saying that forever. But
I would say because Norris posted his RSX up
That
a while
car,
back, and
just
he
bring
said
that
the same
car out
thing.
once.
He was like, he's like, there's no class, there's no money. He's like, why would I build this car again if there's no class and no money?
it's pointless.
He was like, I'm gonna dump a hell of a lot of money redoing the chassis because it's not up to today's standards. And he's gonna say, 10, 20 grand just in the motor and tuning. He was
That's
like,
like
"Why?"
to take
that's,
just hits.
that's like
Yeah.
Charles said. There's no class for him to
No,
run. You
there's
know what I
not.
mean? So
I mean, it'd be awesome because that's almost like you going to watch a NHRA race, Top Fuel race, or whatever. That is the big dog of racing. These little stock cars. I mean, your car is badass, but it's not
No.
a Top Fuel
No,
car. You know what I
not
mean?
even.
It's not
Yeah.
the big dog
And
race
I-
that you
I
want to
was
come chassis
right
car.
I would, if anybody has never been to an NHRA event, like the big dog event, I suggest everyone go at least once in your life.
oh, you have to.
Yeah,
At least
If
once
you're
in your life.
if you're into the sport, you have to go watch the
I've
NHRA
been
at
to
least
Sonoma
one time.
every year since I was probably 3.
Yeah,
Like
I've only gone once.
literally,
I've gone 4.
I took my daughter for
Yeah.
the first time
Good
last year, and she is
Dude, it's
officially
awesome.
hooked.
Like Tony at Sac Raceway runs his car up there, and I love watching. Dude, that's like the first. I'm like, everyone's like, it's too loud. I'm like, nope. What's up? I'm like, I love this.
Bro, it's funny at Race Wars when they had the what's the Race Wars? think it was when they brought out the Nitro old school funny car.
Which one? Because
The
Tony
green one.
has
the
one.
green one.
Oh, the green one.
Oh,
And
okay.
I was like, I was in the pit, and everybody's in the pit, and I'm telling everybody because they don't know, so I'm like, hey, back up a little bit, give space. I'm telling you,
Wait till you burn your eyes.
yeah,
burn
back up
your
a little
throat.
space, and then Myron, the security guard, was trying to back up, and nobody would. And he goes, you know what? I'm gonna let him
Go
stand
ahead.
I love him. Hey, that dude's our boy. Hey, that dude's
He's
so
like, I'm gonna let him
funny.
stand there.
Hey, he
I
don't
wa-
care about anything except for little kids
I
under
watched some
16
lady-
at the
I
line.
watched some
That's the
lady
only
throw
thing I
her-
ever see him yell
I
at.
watched a lady throw her phone. Like one dude literally fell on the ground.
Oh yeah.
But it was like an experience they could never experience any other way. And
Yeah.
they're like, we're coming back next time. And those are the kind of experiences you want people to have.
Yep.
Because,
No, they're not
people
out.
come through the gate, purses should go up.
Oh yeah.
Because there's money.
Well, that's what always tripped me out. Is like, you have a set purse. Doesn't matter how many people show up. It's still the same money. If you have 100,000 people show up versus 10,000 people, that should go up.
Yeah.
But it don't. They just leave it. Oh, we made more money.
Like, if you check, like, just East Coast or Midwest events, like, the purse is $5,000 before you even walk through the door.
Which it should be.
And
If you-
a lot of them they don't even charge you to enter.
Well, you think about
Like, it's just like $5,000 and you get free entry into the shootout.
Well, you think about the money that is made at the track. I mean, throwing events, sponsoring cars. You think about that. If you have 10,000 people show up, paying $20 a piece, and that's not even including racers. That's not including vendors.
Yep.
Yep.
Track rental ain't that expensive. VHT ain't that expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's people. I don't want to name names because I like the people that throw events, but you think about it that way. If you think you're going to throw an event and make yourself money to feed you for a year off of one event, you shouldn't be throwing events. You should be throwing multiple events to make more money and pay them to keep your events alive.
And more so than anything else, is throwing events to love the sport,
Yeah.
and not throwing events to love the money. And that's the difference in what you'll see with
Wait.
certain events is where they'll throw the event and have a bunch of money, but it's sort of like, okay,
And that's
are you going to be able to replicate that next year? Because now you're not for the people that are actually there to make your event what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what sucked when they brought in trucks, boats, motorcycles, Harleys, like when all these
Yeah,
import
wasn't there-
event
wasn't
turned
there
into
Wasn't there an event? There was boats and there was like
last race course.
no, that was
This last race horse had,
Not-
had the Harleys
like
and
last-
small
Had the
tires.
Harleys.
Yeah,
but-
no. I'm saying the year before race horse, they had boats lined up against the crowd
Boats.
yeah, and it's like
Yes.
boats.
For what?
to show.
What in the
I didn't
world?
notice the boats.
No, that was 2 years ago because that was when
I thought it was a year.
no because you
Oh.
you were that was when you took your truck.
Boat.
Oh, okay.
I
That
know
was,
the
yeah,
last,
it
that
was-
was when you took your
they
truck.
had that
and
boat
then-
It was
had
2
a
years
big
ago.
tire, small tire at that one too. But I didn't know they had boats and stuff.
Yeah, like full like
It
don't
tripped
get
us
me
out
wrong.
because
There's
we were
cigarette boats.
all
but-
setting up, and I'm looking. I'm like, is that a boat?
Wow.
And I thought it was just somebody that showed up to the event, off the lake, so they had their boat. Another boat pulled in. I was like,
It was a boat show.
another boat. I was like,
Yeah,
what the hell?
yeah, it was.
I was like,
boats.
why is there so many boats here? It just they wanted more money. Added boats.
Crazy.
And then that year they kicked all the imports to the back and put all the Harleys up front in the pro pits. I was like, this isn't a Harley event. This is an import event. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Money. So it's
And I think that's where the dynamic of the boat event coming in, it'll bring back the grassroots of racing.
it's racing. It's
Yeah.
all based off racing. That's
Racing.
all he wants
Just
to
think
do.
how fast that
Racing.
event went. Like people testing when they're supposed to test. So open test really wasn't an open test because everybody had made their hits when they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And Sunday it was like pat pat
Well,
pat pat.
that should show you another thing too that a lot of people don't realize, and I talk about all the time. I wish it would come back. 2-day events. Saturday you're testing, Saturday you're qualifying, Sunday you're racing.
Mm-hmm.
You're not having issues Sunday morning to race Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. When you have 2-day events, it goes
Like I
so
noticed
much
the
smoother.
IFL in Bakersfield was supposed to be a 1-day event. I'm like, they make enough money to have a 2-day event.
Yeah,
But
I
you're
mean,
right. Who
that-
wants to drive?
it's usually
That
clips.
doesn't benefit it benefits just like you.
No,
you blew,
somebody-
you blew up a turbo and you had a turbo at night. You were racing the next day.
Yeah.
Now imagine if Madison had a spare block. Just a single, like
Oh, yeah.
a stock spare block.
Oh yeah, it could
Who
happen.
wouldn't have helped him swap that block out the next day?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I think there would have been enough of us in the pits
Well,
fucking doing
it's like Fluffy. Fluffy switched an entire car.
that at World Cup.
Yeah, because it was a 2-day. I mean, World Cup's more than 2 days, but it was at least a 2-day event. You ain't gonna be able to do that on a 1-day CMI or a 1-day race wars or stuff. It
You're
don't
gonna
work.
put that shit on the trailer and say, "Let's drink some beer."
Yep, pretty much.
It was like at Bodie's event. Yeah, I want the East Coast guys to come. I want all the fastest dudes, but it's gonna be ran a no time event. Like, and it's gonna be chip.
Which, and a lot of them over there,
And if
they'll
they're-
come.
And if they're okay with that, that's fine. But like,
It's
you
just
know,
the money. That's
all it is.
what's going to determine to see people come from farther away is money. And with the way you want to organize it or plan on organizing it, there's a lot of money to be made.
the more people that show up is the more money you're gonna make.
Yep.
Like even
Exactly.
if say we didn't put anything to start the pot, and 16 cars showed up,
Yeah.
you're running for $1,600.
Yeah.
So it's one of those ones where people do race not for the money because you're never gonna make back.
No.
You'll never.
You'll never make back what
People
you
gotta
put in the car.
understand. No.
But
No.
it does help to
Oh,
get
yeah.
you off the couch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
Well, you
somebody
think about
risk-
that. If you have say 2 events this year, you make $3,000 an event. Next year, same thing. 2 events, $3,000 an event. I mean, that's $12,000 right there.
You know,
If you're like Fat Kid, I mean, he ran every
and-
IFL last
and
year.
this is
Won
Matt-
every
every
IFL.
like, listen, Matt,
Ran
Except
all
for
of
one.
them. Yeah.
Because he
You know,
broke.
he didn't have any issues
Yeah.
with his car, so like that money is money that's being recouped.
Yep.
Like so obviously you have gas and whatnot, but if you didn't break anything on the car,
Yeah,
I
that's
recouped a little bit of
gas
the,
money to get
yeah.
there, entry, fuel for the car, maintenance for the car. I mean, or upgrades.
Yeah.
And as you keep going, shit. And the way you guys did it too, where if you win, you have free entry now into the events.
Yeah.
IFO does the same thing. He's got free entry into every IFO. So when you don't have to now pay $100 to get in, shit.
Yeah, it's even
It's a win.
when.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
It's like my brother.
Yeah, we got Trump problems. We got flies on
No.
on the mic.
Like I said, without my big brother,
I was like, what are you talking about? I was looking over there and
Yeah.
shit.
like he did everything in his power to help get that, make sure it was a success for us.
Mhm.
Like literally, he put up money. He actually helped Anthony Carey with a trailer. He gave the girl $75 to enter.
Yeah.
And she would have never. She was just there on
She
a
was
whim
testing.
on Saturday.
She
and
lived
testing
5 minutes from the track.
and blew her clutch up. And
Yeah.
he was like, "Hey,
You coming
you
along?
coming tomorrow?" She's like, And the dude was like, "I'll go get a clutch."
Yeah.
And got her a clutch, and she took second. Like, and ran her personal best. I
And
think
made
there was like
$200.
five.
Mhm.
I think there was like 5 personal best ran in Reading.
Yeah. Well, I know Matt, Mason, that girl.
I think Chris did
Oh yeah,
too.
and Chris. Yeah. So
To
4.
think about it, I don't want to say shitty track, but a track nobody wants to go to.
It's just I think it's just the distance.
That's
all
a
it
pretty
really
fucking
is.
good,
But let's say like from here, it's 3 hours from where we are right now, right?
It's like going to Bakersfield.
It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's just an opportunity.
Everybody would love to go to Bakersfield. I mean, I get it. Bakersfield's a better track,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
if we're trying to grow sport and you're really about racing for the love of it, you
It's-
would go to fucking Reading.
Well, it's known. Bakersfield is known.
Yeah.
Reading's not known. Reading is.
Well, Reading's gonna be fucking known now.
So.
I mean,
think
I
it'll be-
feel, honestly, I think they had really good track
No,
crew. Their crew was
You were actually talking. You were talking about that. You were
Track
like,
is
"This is
good.
They
the
were-
difference."
they were
They
on
had the
their
2
shit.
kids right there sweeping the water box every pass. Sweep.
Now,
sweep.
Zach's got homeboys that are there, but sometimes they're not there, and I'm
Oh,
walking.
you gotta spray your own
I'm
water
driving up,
sometimes.
and he's spraying water. I've
Sometimes you gotta spray your
had
water.
other racers there looking, they're going like that. Even I was going like, "Hey, don't motherfucker," spraying some water and shit
Oh, yeah.
for people. They were on it.
I mean, I get it. That's more
I mean, that
money
one dude,
out
he
of the
did,
event
like-
pocket, but
That one kid did hit us with that water though. That shit was on purpose. I know it was.
No,
Hey,
shit. He sprayed you with the water.
he's
I'm
doing the
saying
water
it.
box and all of a sudden he's all. Shh.
Yeah, all of a sudden we're just woo. I'm like, motherfucker, you did that shit on purpose. I was like, it felt good, but you did that on purpose. So, we didn't talk about your history of racing a little
shit,
bit.
bro.
Come on,
Right.
You want
It's
to run
a
it down?
family thing, bro. Like
Man.
since I can remember, my dad used to drag race bikes, like full blown motorcycle club, and I don't know if you guys remember Fremont. There's a drag strip in Fremont.
Yep.
For years, I spent probably every other Saturday at that racetrack with my brothers, my cousins. The city in general. It was just like if you had a car, if you had a bike. I just been around racing my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, I watched my dad crash. And I was like, I'll never get on a bike. Ever. I had a drag bike in my garage for years. Never touched it. Never sat on it. Didn't want no parts of it.
Wow.
Bought my first car. It was a Geo Tracker. But I wanted to go street
Talking
racing.
about that goddamn Geo track.
I really wanted to
That was off air, hold on,
That
that was
shows
off
how
air.
different and wild this dude is, though. He goes from a Geo Tracker to a Honda Fit.
No, I had in between them.
You drive a Honda Fit.
As a daily, he turboed his.
Literally, my credit wasn't that good, so I went to the dealership. They were like, "We can get you in this." I needed a car. I'm like, "Fine."
Not only did you drive a geo-tracker, you bought it from a dealership.
Yep. And it was like you said, it was a stick, and I never drove a stick before. The salesman showed me how to drive a stick to buy the car. Got home, was like, "Well, I guess I'll be trying to street race this." The internet was kind of, new. It was AOL, so you're dial in, and I found a rock crawling site and bought every mod you can think of: pistons, rod, header, intake, head, and slapped it on there. It was all-wheel drive. Damn thing ran 13s. Nobody knew it but me and my brother, because we go to CMI and I'd run on a throttle stop and run the slow bracket class, and then I'd go to street races on Imperial and Stagecoach and stuff and
Damn, Stagecoach.
bro, I'm telling you, way back, and whoop ass. That's when Chuck had the 4-door. And Chuck's car was, I think, probably the first one I seen turbocharged, like turbocharged Hondas when he had the 4-door.
Uncle Chuck still has it.
Yeah, he still has it.
Man,
And he would whoop everybody's ass, period, point blank. And
Hey,
then,
you know what's funny? Is he still drags street races like a motherfucker and no one really knows it?
Nobody knows it.
Every weekend, he's hitting me up. Hey, Neff, there's something going on. I'm like, I don't know, but I'll find something.
and so
Did he
always-
fix his car?
No, he bought a new show. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to
I seen him back.
Oh, no, I
We're
saw
not
that.
gonna do,
That's right.
We're not going to do Uncle Chuck
I
like
seen him
that.
get that through. But yeah, so
He
like,
fucked
That poll came out of nowhere, but sorry, Uncle Chuck. But that poll came out of
I
nowhere.
literally
Yeah.
raised back then, and I was the oddball kid, like, so they see it and they laugh, ha 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 ha, hee hee hee, and then they get their ass kicked and be like, "He's on the bottle." Like, that was the first thing people would say. I'd be like, "You find a ball in my car, I'll pay you $200," because they didn't know, and it was all-wheel drive on the street. So we leave, I'm out 2.5 cars before you're. We go to Melpitas and race at Melpitas, and then they found a spot in Tracy on Mountain House. I'd be there.
She's Mount House.
Man,
That was
Dude,
the
I'm
shit.
telling you,
That was
dude,
the spot.
nobody
That was
like
the
I
spot.
haven't bought a fast car or like an extra, so I'm like kind of just in the cuts in the back, like, and then I started rolling with Kev and my buddy Joey. My buddy Joey had an EF with an H22 back in 2004, made 170 and ran 12.6, and then he sold it. Made one pass with the car.
Don't you even look at me, boy. I see him looking at me right now.
No, but literally,
I see him looking at me right now. I ain't even looking at you.
What year was that in?
He literally made one pass in the car and then sold it. And then Kev started the Sport Front Wheel Drive car, and so I had Outback as a restaurant. So I just started rolling with him and sponsoring him. Like, I paid entry fee to the races. We'd go all over, and been in the game ever since.
You didn't go cook for everybody at the track?
I did.
Steaks.
Yeah.
And
with
then what
Henny.
happened was I blew up the tracker twice. Just completely blew it up. Like, it was no, just revving it to like 8,000. It probably should have only been to like 6,500 or whatnot. Blew it up twice.
Oh, man.
Parked it. Bought my girl at the time bought me a DA
What?
with a B16 in it. It was a pig out the hole because it was no torque. Sold that.
Heavy ass chassis.
Yep, sold that, bought an EF, put an LS in it with Type R rods and all that good stuff, and then had kids and bought the Fit. Sold that, bought a Ruckus and the Fit, and been rocking with the Ruckus and the Fit.
So
ever since.
do we see you ever building a car or anything? Because you're around Boddie all day.
Me
that
personally?
doesn't make you want to get in a car or
No,
do anything?
at all. It's expensive. And I honestly just enjoy going and hanging out with my family. Like, literally,
It's the events. It's all about the events.
No, yeah, you
The
could
actual
tell, yeah.
driving.
My whole thing is like with the Fit. You said the Fit and turbochargers. I'm like, if I can run low 14s, high 13s, and that thing when I'm done driving home, I'm good. I can play around with some dude on the street and make him go, "What the fuck just happened?" And that's my whole mentality is that. Like, anytime I bought a car and I want the dude next to me to look over and go,
That really just
looks at his car and then looks at mine and goes,
The fuck just
"What the fuck just happened?" Like, that is the win or lose. If I can stay close enough to where you're contemplating shooting yourself because you just almost got ran off by I'm happy. I'm completely happy. But yeah, it's a straight family fun. I enjoy it. My daughter wants to junior drag race right now, but I don't know if she.
That's how I
I see that junior drag racing coming
Bro,
back.
it's still huge. If you look at it, it's expensive,
big, but
bro.
it's expensive though.
It's not cheap.
I know I was looking into it because for my nephew.
A
I'm
used
like,
one costs you like
yeah.
$4,000, and then that's without any spare motor, tires, or anything like that. So, and my youngest daughter is Bo's biggest fan, bro. Like, one day he was at Sonoma and he let her just hang with him all day. She will
Dad, who?
watches all the shows.
This is my new daddy right here.
Like,
Damn.
The shirt we made from Reading, she's the only one that got a kid size shirt.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Like I made one kid, and she's just like, cause she hit me, she was like, "Where's my shirt, Dad?" I'm like, "Oh, I got you one." And so
That's cool.
she's the biggest fan. So yeah, I made it for the love of it. Like
You sound like me,
my
because
family-
everyone gives me shit. They're like, "You've been doing this for so
My
long, you
whole-
don't have no car," and I'm like, "I built
Do
cars."
you want me to tell you the difference between you and him though?
What? Tears.
He don't talk shit to everybody like you do.
But I can.
You piss everybody
I
off.
can.
You piss everybody
I've
off.
had cars that have gone faster than you.
So I'm
have.
with him like, hey, what's up with your
I'm
boy?
trying to
He
do
keeps
set
talking shit.
I'm trying to set up races and make
So
some
do
money.
I.
But I always want to make them fair races, because in the end, that's what makes it fun.
Well, yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
I want to see a side by side race. I don't want to
Yeah.
see a gap. It's boring. Here's 5 cars. No, okay, cool.
Like that, same thing when Chris, offered that $5,000 for at Race Wars. I went to Bo and was like, hey, he's talking about $5,000. And then, turned into the money, which was probably one of the best things ever for
this.
this area, for everything to come together. That was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I'm pissed because I left like 2 minutes before that.
I left way before
Guess
that.
where I put my money on?
Birdo?
Birdo. Why? Because I record all the races, so I knew Monty had went
Because
left.
for the last
The
3
last
years,
3
Monty's
races,
always
he's
gone
going
left.
left. And I was like, I can't subconsciously make that bet. Like, you're supposed to ride, but that's church's money. So I got to get some of church's money.
Yeah.
And, that's what happened. And just like Monty's, I told somebody, I was like, he gonna try and burn him down a little bit, right? Because I know imports don't know. I don't know if they know. You have 7 seconds to stage. It's not an intentional burn down, but that's where Monty's 699 is, because he's not a turbo car, so he knows the turbo car got to go in, build boost. So they're gonna go in first. So he has 7 seconds to stage his car. He does it all the time. But that's just the game within the game that's played.
It's once both stage beams are up,
And then
if
if
the other
you-
person has the
The
pre-stage
stage
and they have the stage beam.
Yes,
you have 7 seconds to get in there.
to get the
Yeah.
second beam bowl.
I didn't really know too much about that. I knew there was a time limit, but
that's
where I
the-
really saw that was on that No Prep Kings, where that
just-
happened between
Yeah.
Jeff Lutz and
And on No Prep Team, they kind of have like the gentleman's agreement where they'll let the turbo car go in first, especially if they're in a high elevation, because
that's exactly where
So,
that whole thing went
There's
down.
games like, I know imports don't play that game, but there's games.
Oh, there's
within
No,
the game.
people that do,
they
because
play. No, they play.
we went
they
to-
play
we
burn
actually
down
went
games.
to a-
They do it now.
No, they
some
do.
do, because we had a street event. Well, it was supposed to be an event, just turned into a little grudge shit. But we had one a while back, and the dude was trying to bump in first as a turbo car, and we were like, "Why? You
So-
are a turbo car. Go in second. Let the supercharged car
he's
go
gotta
in
get
first."
pulled up.
Or second. I said, "That's how it works." He's like, "No, he's instant. He should go in first, and I'll go in second." I'm like, "Why? Switch
You
that
would want
around."
to go
As
because
a
he was
turbo
on
car, you want to go in first.
Yeah.
the turbo car.
But
you
he was
want to
trying-
go
he was
first.
trying to lead.
trying to do it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you have a bump, like rear wheel drive cars, you have a bump box, and you can.
They have
and,
them.
Oh, they got bump.
Yeah, they have them.
They got bump boxes, yeah, but
It's not.
I mean, if you watch the East Coast, a lot of those guys, like on those big races, they'll do burn down games too. They'll play staging games all.
Oh, absolutely. That's
fucking,
why-
Norris does it a lot.
no, look at Norris does. Look at when
I
Steve.
remember the race got canceled back at the World Cup with the Durona Mustang.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying with the all-wheel drive. They're like, nah, fuck
They
y'all.
disqualified both
Yep.
of them. But that's part of the gamesmanship. Like, one of them should have, at some point in time, would have went in.
But that's the funny part. Like with his car runs better hot. He can sit there and
People
burn
don't know
down.
that.
He can sit there
I
as
tell
long as
people
he
all the
wants.
time. I'm like, hey, you can leave me on two-step all you want. Let my shit heat up because it's gonna eat even more. It's weird. During the cold, it runs like dog shit.
Yeah.
But in the heat, 110-degree day, oh, my car will eat all
That's
day.
why, like one event, we hot lap. They were like, you get two runs for practice. We hot lap. I think we ran 3 or 4 runs
We
that
had
day.
like 4.
Yeah.
He was to the point. No, I ran 3. I was trying to run 4, and he comes up. He's
That's
like,
right.
"Nah, bro, I seen you already. Go back." He sent me down the stage lane.
But it runs just fine.
Yeah, but everything I do is strictly for the love of drag and just being in it my entire. Dude, I drag race slot cars. You name if it can be drag raced, I've drag raced it competitively at some point in time. Like my brother is actually like a world record holder in the 124 slot car drag. If you ever want to check it out, they have one in Modesto. It's a
You
full
talking about
blown.
these ones over here?
It's a full blown
What a
124
coincidence.
scale
Right.
slot car drag strip. And my brother is I used to kick his ass. He won't tell you this, but at everything. Dude, I've Nintendo games.
No wonder why you're blocked.
Right? I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna tag him in this episode right here.
Nintendo games, like we used to drag race. There was an NHRA game on the computer we should do. They had a Nopi, not a Nopi, but I want to say Naira. Naira actually has a import drag racing computer game. I don't know if a lot of people know that. I don't know if you can find it still. But dude, anything related to drag racing, I've probably been done in my lifetime. So it's literally just ingrained in me. And I just never had an inkling to want to like build a full blown car. Like I was happy with the 15 or 14 second car, and I'm good. Like I don't need no more than this, don't need no less. I'm happy. Made a few passes. Now let me go back to watching it and enjoying, everything else.
See, my problem is I like building cars. I don't even care about racing, like actually racing. I like going to races and watching racing, helping other people race. But personally, I don't care about racing. I love building cars though. Like I'll build stuff. Like I built an LS S10, sold it the day I got it done. Like I built a CRX. I built a K Series CRX. Sold it the day I was done with it.
Because the day Warren was actually going to turbocharge a tracker, but we couldn't figure out engine management at the time. So then we were going to swap in.
Go vacuum. Just leave it on spring.
We were going to swap in the S. I don't know if you remember they had the S10 Extreme motor, the V6 with the Vortec. They had swap kits for that.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
And then
should have put a Typhoon motor in there.
I just got tired of dealing with it, so it was like
that would have been the fun motor.
If you come back, you have to do a tracker again.
Bro, dude,
right?
You
can't even find them anymore.
I'm gonna look on.
Bro, it was so crazy.
So
the
you probably
new
put a K in it by now.
Yeah, put a K, right?
Yeah, put K in everything.
They did. The Samurai got in Puerto Rico. They put the K in the Samurai.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Leave it out there.
The news came out, I want to say 2002, and did a whole profile on the tracker at Sacramento Raceway.
What the hell?
On yours?
Crazy.
Yeah. Because I would win on Wednesday nights all the fucking time.
Oh, you gotta find that.
And then I had it on tape. I don't know, it's somewhere. But it was a show called Newgrounds.
If you can find a tape, I can get it put on computer. Sure. I have a VHS to computer.
But it was crazy. Like, and it's just like I've always had like the oddball car nobody knew about and so it's just been something like to fit. Like,
it's just different.
It's just different.
Yeah. That's how I've always been like. I ain't ever seen a Duramax in that truck.
They always go, is it boosted? I'm like, yeah.
I always want to build shit different too.
I'm like, and it's small legal.
and building something different, it definitely is, and that's where like building my car for next season, trying a few different things, like larger primaries on the turbo manifold to see if it's going to pick up, more top end power, especially for how much boost that the car is running. So like my car, I know third gear it sees roughly around like 45 pounds of boost, somewhere in that range, and so. To be able to exhaust that much flow, you're gonna need
inch and a half. Ain't happening.
Inch and a half is not happening, and that's where, for us, with my fabricator, trying to design something different. But the difference with us is that most guys don't want to show, don't want to give the secrets because they want to be the fastest, they want to be the only and whatever. But with us, we want to come to market with something that's marketable. Look, inch and a half. With this turbo manifold and 2-inch with this is the power difference. These are your gains, mid-range, so on and so forth.
I wonder how much you could open up ahead though to get to that 2-inch. Because is it just going to be restricting like a throttle body where you have a 5-inch, to a 2-inch or whatever?
And that's the part where we actually have an engineer that is going to look into making the flange and seeing what the restrictions or limitations are. Because the head that's on the car right now is a 4-piston alloy head. So.
Yeah. Because you can also do the, the induction flange where it tapers. Mm-hmm. Where you start out here and you taper out. I mean, we use those a lot and they work good. So that'd be something you could also look into just for changing size-wise.
Yep.
Because if you open up too much, I mean, you already know you're going to crack heads with that much boost. No matter what size primaries you're running.
Well, and the thing is like East Coast guys like with Revolution Turbo right now. I don't know if you guys saw that log that A posted. Mm-hmm. The Revolution, they're 73 millimeter. It's holding 72.5 pounds of boost.
Jesus.
And the Sport Front field, it's a chase. It's constantly a chase because you're constantly trying to keep up with the new, latest, and greatest technology. And it's just like La Fluffy, the import DPS car. That car has so much Motec in it, so much technology that when I work for a Porsche team, a GT3 Cup car or even a GT3R, those cars have everything that you can think of that Motec makes, from the G-force meter that is read through the ECU to suspension travel to everything.
Well, and that was a lot of people talked about that these last couple 2-3 years. The West Coast never did. Never ran traction control. They never ran limiters for how high your suspension flex, any of that stuff. I mean, you never ran individual Y bands into each cylinder to see where you're at for temps. You've never seen a lot of that stuff. The East Coast been doing it for a while, and now they're starting to get to it here.
You think about it, like back east, they run a lot of events with domestics too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So a lot of that stuff is now transferring over.
Oh yeah. And you talking about Abe? I'll give a lot to that guy. That guy has tried out a lot, and that dude is intelligent.
He knows
shit.
a lot, and that's where when I finish my car, that's who's gonna initially do the tune on the car. And you would think that someone that's so mainstream would be super expensive and
it's not bad.
hard, and hard to get to. No.
It's the same thing. Like
he's super
we
cool.
We had talked about his car, and we talked about tuners and stuff like that, and it kind of amazed me talking to other people that are over there how easily they are to obtain. It's not bad. Like I talked to RS Randy, I talked to Jamie Marsh, I talked to a bunch of people, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm
down to earth."
Yeah,
down to earth.
I mean, I talked to Jamie quite a bit now, but it's crazy to see how easy it is to get to these people. Like you wouldn't think, oh, these are world record holders for Hondas, this, that, and the other. They'd be big headed or whatever. Nah, dude, they're
Super
still.
cool.
No, you DM them a question, they shoot back to you as much as they can.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure they get a lot of fucking retarded shit, but
Oh yeah, who doesn't?
yeah, but they're always open to cool like those guys, especially like Abe to come over here and do what he did last year.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, that was the beginning of this year.
Well, just in general, like he did Jeff's car.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing with Jeff is that
He's running a baby turbo.
yeah, well, not only that, but see, Jeff's first car was built by Warren.
Oh really?
A lot of people don't know that. So like, he had another black Integra that had a basic motor, Eagle rods, CP pistons, just valve springs, retainers, and I think Type R cams, and he was on a GT35R, and the car only made 450, and he had a GSR transmission with the in factory for a second gear and and a 405 drive. Yeah, old school stuff,
Yeah,
and the car, I believe he went 1080 or 10.7. So like, and then to see coming forward, he built another black Integra and now have Abe tuning and carbon power.
Oh yeah.
Did well.
I can't wait to see it next year because he's got a bunch of stuff he's changing too, and it'll be cool.
Yeah.
It'll be cool to see that car next year also. I mean, there's a few people next year that.
Oh, next year's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
That's why I said there's a lot of people that are building cars, and like I know sometimes it's kind of hard to remember all of them right now. Like Juju build we're talking about, Galvin, and then all these other cars. You forget about them, but then I'll be seeing them on Instagram. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about that dude.
Yeah.
So the West Coast has, like we said in I think previous episodes, a full 16 class.
Easy.
If not
I mean, we
more.
could even do more.
Easy.
It's just the hard part is getting everybody
everybody in those
there
same
at
places.
one same place. At
And
the same
that's my whole goal for 2021. Like, if there's a 8 car showing at one event and the pile's not that big, I'm okay with that. Like, everybody should be okay with that.
It's just working around other events is what
But
you
it's
got to
just trying
do
to
because
find
a lot
that-
of people
yeah.
are gonna be like, oh well, IFO's next weekend. I'm not going to Boddie.
But
I'm
here's
gonna
my
go
thing
here.
is like, why would you go to IFO to win $800 when you can come here for this win and
win
have the
30.
chance to
You
win
got
3,500
$3,500 bucks.
$3,500. That's for whoever wins. And if the second
And-
place
But
gets
that's what I'm saying though. You just got to work
$1,500,
around other events because there's people that are that way. I mean,
absolutely.
And because Boddie has such a name, you never know who is gonna.
That's
be
what I was
there.
telling Andre. You
The
just know
brand-
who you gonna be in
the
front of
brand.
at that point in time.
Like you're gonna be around some of California's fastest cars,
and engine
V8s,
builders and chassis builders,
all that.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what the thing is too is like you were saying. I think it was you saying that the East Coast runs a lot of with the domestics, bringing imports with the domestics here. The technology wise, people can start talking, and then you might get a chassis builder that might walk up and he sees something in your car and say, hey,
So,
whoop this and that.
I'd always wonder that myself. Is you look at all these big guys that are all running Austin Chassis Works chassis. What if Chris got into imports and started messing around with imports?
He's there all the time.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
You think about someone that's that huge in the world. Everybody uses Austin Chassis Works. Everybody. Doesn't matter where you're at in the world. Think if he actually got some bit of a mind into an import.
And that's
Who knows what would change? Because that's one thing imports don't have. You look at our chassis, everyone has the same chassis. They don't change. It's a unibody chassis. They change your trailing arms and they change your front arms.
Well, not unless you can afford Energy Tech.
Yeah. Well, Tom's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but even like with Tom, like so, every once in a blue moon, I call Tom and we have great conversations, and he will give me little bits and pieces of this is what I would do, this is what I suggest, you know. But then I was like, hey, well, why don't I send you the car? He's like, yeah, send me a bare shell and I'll build it from scratch. I don't do add-ons.
Well, that's what what was crazy watching his build process when he just did a Speed Factory car. Like to see what he was doing compared to what's been done. It's like, whoa, holy
that's
shit.
the first time that he actually allowed for documentation. Like you got to see a little bit of who's Integra, the 7-second Integra that he put together, but it's not done yet. I don't remember whose car it is, but there was that one. He also built Ramey's car, Sonic's car. I mean, all these chassis that he built, and you look at it, it's like every single chassis that he's touched or built, it's been fast. Chris Miller, back in the day, like we were just talking about the other day, Chris Miller went 8.0s back in man, a
him
long
and Tony
time.
first was battling. It was like
840,
850.
840,
And it jumped out like 820. Like
that's all documented on YouTube. You know, watching those videos.
Yeah. And so these chassis, it's hard to keep up with them. You know, all you really can do at the end of the day is talk to your tuner, like Abe, for example, who's been on the East Coast and who's touched so many different types of chassis. To where you'll hear him say on something, on one post he'd be like, this car is simple, it has X, Y, and Z, and it went this fast. And it's just understanding what you can and you can't do. And like how hard the traction control should come in, and how much weight you have in the front of the car, and how wide the wheel is. So how much traction you're gonna have.
Well, that's like his new clutches that just came out. Like he did a whole different clutch setup.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And the crazy thing is about that clutch is it's a adjusting slipping clutch.
Yeah.
Apparently, it only supposedly lasts 15 passes, supposedly, before you have to rebuild. But
just the disc or the whole thing?
Just the disc.
Okay.
Just the disc. But the technology, even Gringo Integra, he showed it. His car.
Well, it's crazy.
On radials.
It's also only a single disc instead of a twin. The ones he's been showing are just single discs, and it's doing and holding what a twin disc does.
I think he has
Does he have a twin?
Yeah.
I've been watching a little bit of it, and I've seen that the singles, it's just crazy. It's different. It's cool. That's what I mean by he's so inventive of this new stuff. It's all stuff that you're gonna learn from other things.
And now he's just come out with the transmission and torque converter for the Supra.
That's crazy. I saw that. That shit's crazy.
So innovation is everything, just to kind of keep up or be ahead.
It's almost like you were saying with the trial and error. You try, you might fail. You try, you might find something that no one else has done yet, and it might be the new thing that everyone now does. It's expensive, but shit, if it works, it works. You might make $1 million off of it, or you might fail and lose $1 million.
That's it.
What you got over there?
I'm just running through. Don't mind me.
Well, no, I didn't know if you had something you.
No.
Is there anything you guys want to get out there? Is there anything you guys want to say about any of the events?
I appreciate everybody that showed up in Reading, because if it didn't show up, it wouldn't have went where it went.
You wouldn't have anything next year. Yeah.
So I'm extremely humble. Like I said, for everybody that showed up. Bo took a chance. My brother definitely took a chance because he put some money out of his own pocket. And so, just looking forward to 2021. Like I'm in it for the. Me personally, it's fun for me.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy. I bought GoPros. I like making videos. Like I just have fun with it. Like
I need an editor. My editor sucks. I want to edit. No.
I don't know about podcasts, but
No, I'll do the podcast. He wants to do.
No,
all
I
the
film a lot of
filming
CMIs and stuff.
I don't do.
Yeah, I film a lot of CMIs and stuff, and I don't edit. I fucking hate computers.
What's crazy is like those videos I put out. I do it all on my phone.
Yeah.
No
There's
computer,
a lot
laptop,
of people that do that
all
shit.
on my goddamn phone.
As much time as this motherfucker's on his phone, he should be doing that shit.
Should be working, actually.
Both of you, advice young new racers. What can you give out?
I'll say that do your homework. Don't be the internet guy that reads the forums and says, "Oh, well, this guy this and this." The best example I can give is there's a particular car that I'm involved in, and he literally tries to follow someone else's build and say, "Oh, well, he has this car like this. I'm going to do the same exact thing." I'm like, it's not going to work. Understand your combinations. If you don't know cam lift, if you don't know flow of the head or compression, all these things, educate yourself from somebody that's actually been in the game. Now, granted, there's tons of people out there that say they know everything, and there's no such thing because you're constantly learning. I'm still learning, and all I can say to them is don't give up. Don't let a 13-second time discourage you, or now that guy that you thought was slower than you and has now come out and spent $10,000 on his car and he's faster than you. Don't let that discourage you from continuously building your car, because, as I always say, the turtle always wins the race. At the end of the day,
that's basically it. Don't get discouraged.
No, don't get discouraged. And it's do what you love, and I'm a true testament of that. Is that I love cars. I love the automotive industry. I've touched every single part of it. And I don't talk much about it, and a lot of people don't know the history of it. Is that I started out as a Northwestern distribution manager for Momo for all of Northwestern United States.
I remember the rims on the Denali.
Yeah,
Lawrence Denali. That's we were mobbing Lawrence Denali to the track with the Momos on them.
And that's how. Man,
I forgot all about them.
I think that was the 22s.
22s.
The 22 Momos.
Those are the relationships, and how I create a relationship with so many people is that when I was working for Momo, I met Warren, because then I was, back in the day, Tenzo was the shit. Everybody was buying it. We were selling Tenzo.
I posted those up the other day. I was like, I want to say it so bad.
Man.
Not even put them on anything, just put them on the wall.
Man, but if you follow what you love and just try to touch as many parts of the industry and understand what you're touching and what it can do. Like, I went from being a sales rep, being a mechanic, and doing Honda stuff and owning a shop, to going and working on a $500,000 Porsche GT3R for a year and traveling, and doing that stuff. So regardless of anything, if you are passionate about the automotive industry in itself, you could go anywhere and you could climb any mountain that you want to climb. And for me, like, the crazy thing is of having all this conversation is that I constantly run from it. Because I don't want to do the automotive industry anymore. I kind of want to do something else. Right now, I'm a maintenance guy that maintains the robots that build the capsule batteries for Tesla at Panasonic. But what phone calls do I get on a regular basis? Owners of shops and dealerships that want to get into the performance end of things and don't understand it. And they come to me and ask me for advice or so on and so forth. But it just comes back to being passionate about the automotive industry, and that's really all I can say.
So so you're still tuning? I'm
still tuning.
You tuning on your free time? Is
on free time.
Is it kind of like your second job kind of thing, or
it's
is
just side stuff for now? And just as a recent, it's actually I was fortunate. The shop Gear Performance in Reno, they just went under new ownership. The new owner, I was at the shop tuning a Honda that made 1,100 horsepower. He had never seen a car make that much power before. Was impressed. He was like, well, and my car just happened to be there that day, getting ready for the Boddie event. He's like, oh, that's your car? He's like, here's $350 for you to go to the event. It's on me. That doesn't happen, you know what I mean? Just to randomly just give money out like that. And I said, well, what's your interest? Because I'm always, somebody hands out money, there's an expectation behind it. He's like, nothing. I just want to support it, and I see a value in it. And so with him, if they don't have a tuner, so now what's happened now is unfortunately a friend of mine, I don't know if you guys know Mayhem Tuning, he just passed away, and he was a huge Subaru tuner in Reno. And now the Subaru market requires another tuner, so now I actually might have to step into that realm, which I don't like. But I talked to Adrian from Cobb the other day, and Cobb, just another great resource. Speaking with them, he's like, hey, you know what? Whatever you don't know, ask questions that will help you. And that's where you create, not to say that I haven't had any bad runs in the industry and, things happen. But if you create good rapport, you can always come back to it. And so then, it's just like people ask me all the time, hey, show me how to tune. I'm an open book. I'm not going to hide anything from anybody, because if I don't tell you something, you can go read it somewhere else. So I'd much rather give you the education, and that's important.
At least what's worked for you, you know what I mean? And
exactly.
Instead of them going on Facebook, because Facebook Racer, and they're getting it from him and then blowing their shit up.
Exactly. 100%. You know, so.
What about you?
Man, just do what you love and enjoy
Yeah.
what you're doing. No matter what it is. Like I said, I drove the most oddballest shit ever, bro. Like, and never thought like, and never felt like, why am I doing this? Like, if somebody didn't like it, you know, well, fuck you. It ain't yours. You ain't paying for it. So if you want to line up, let's line up and be done with it. Like, so, you know, no matter what it is, like, just enjoy what you're doing. Like, that's life. Like, you only got one, so might as well enjoy it while you're here, because you don't know when you're gonna be gone. So.
Especially the way 2020 has been fucked.
Yeah, dude.
Man, 2020 has been crazy, but.
You know, just do what you do. Like, I'm kind of sad that, you know, IFO Bakersfield got shut down.
Did it?
Yeah. Because I had planned on going to Vegas to...
Which one?
This year?
Yeah.
This year.
When did they say that?
A couple days ago.
Yeah, they just posted it.
Oh, damn.
Because I had planned on going
I was talking to Cliff about that. I didn't know that.
I had planned on going to the Streetcar Nationals in Vegas and then cutting my day short and going there on Sunday. But like I said, I just want to see the baddest import, domestic, all on the property, one space, one time on the West Coast. Because I don't think it's ever really been done like that. Like, I know they had the one where it was kind of the drag nationals or whatever it was, but it was no big domestic cars.
No.
So I'm just trying to, you know, that was me and my brother's goal, is to like try and put everybody on the property at the exact same time, the exact same day, where you can go see a 3-second.
You basically want to have the West Coast
World Cup without the lights and pretty much is what you know.
You want the best of the best here.
Yeah, because you know you get in front of the right people are, you know, you just never know what could happen.
Oh yeah,
And that is the
Never know.
You know, and I think honestly, you're on the right path. I think we're all on the right path, and I'm glad that me and him decided to, you know, help you with that. And there's people out here that will come out for that, you know, and that's like, I hope in 2021 we can push this a lot harder and make that happen, because we have pretty much the same goals too, is just make this scene as big as possible, you know what I mean? And if we can go watch the baddest fucking cars on the West Coast, period, muscle or import,
exactly.
who wouldn't want to go to that?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's gonna fill up stadiums, you know, and get people to go and shit. So
Because if not, it's gonna die.
and it makes the scene better.
Well, that's why I said it how I did. I don't want to go to watch a 1250 car. I want to go watch big dogs.
Like,
I want
I
to
was-
watch someone fast.
Oh, I thought we were
I don't
friends.
know who I was
but-
talking to. I don't know who I was talking to the other day, but I was like, why has no turbo Honda put a Pro Charger on their car?
Oh yeah, we were talking about that.
I've asked that question before.
Like, why has nobody touched that technology? Like, is it the
Well, it's the same
displacement?
thing. It's the same thing with superchargers. There's not very many people that run a supercharger.
Yeah, but is it the Pro Charger makes enough power?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, without, you know. So
I'm just saying. But
is there a reason why an import hadn't said, you know what, let me go get this
Probably money.
F1X, you know.
probably money.
It's
You
probably
can go buy a
money.
turbo kit for $5,000. You ain't buying an F1X
yeah.
custom kit.
No.
And who
For a
also
Honda.
gonna want to do the R&D? That's a lot of people. What happens if you do the R&D?
I'll tell you,
You
what,
make a car.
You get me an F1X from Bo.
I think they only got the one.
Pro charged K Series S2000
Would be nasty.
would be disgusting.
Even if it only ran 8 pounds, you know how much coverage that would get?
Oh yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
Man.
Like, even if it wasn't on a max boost and it, you know, that would be insane. Like, for somebody to show up with a big ass Pro Charge.
Oh, you see that turbo? No, it's not turbo. It's Pro Charge. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Goes in the hood. You go there, you go, God damn, it is fucking Pro Charge. You know, and that could be a groundbreaker. You know, that's a good thing.
The limitation of it would be.
And I think it's the
because
displacement of the displacement.
That's
of
your
the
only
motor.
issue right there, belt
belt
driven.
driven. That's the biggest problem.
But now that people are doing manual fuel pumps or mechanical fuel pumps, belt driven, it might be an option now, because now you're running that secondary belt.
Yep.
But that's also another issue. When you break a belt, you're now losing fuel. Now you're losing boost. Belts are always an issue.
What do you have goals with your car? Do you have any?
I'll say the first goal for me would be to get it back together. That's gonna be the first goal. But honestly,
What's the fastest time in that car?
me driving it, 9.1. That's all I've done.
What was Steve's fastest time in that car?
50s, 850s. 850s at 185 is the most that I've ever seen in the car.
Okay.
And the thing is, see, what a lot of people don't understand about the car is that the car was going that fast in 2013.
Yeah.
That was groundbreaking because
people
people weren't going that fast.
Nope.
And the only people that were going that fast were Speed Factory. You know, you had Cole, you had I believe Shannon, his car was going that fast. Think Fat, they were just getting there. I think 880s, 860s, somewhere in that range. So they, at that time, there really wasn't that many, but goal, I like to go A flat. You know, A flat would be the goal. How I get there is still a thought process for me because I'm still, number one.
You're not full in it. You're still doing hobby, right?
I'm still doing hobby, but I'm still thinking about.
Oh,
Really?
I don't do dog.
No.
He's like, I'm just busting in.
That's it.
He said, nope, I'm busting in.
I'm still thinking about how I'm gonna get there because there's so many different ways you can get there. You see all these different setups and how they do all these certain things.
You still fucking Pro Charger on it.
Man.
We just told you.
Yeah, right?
That is the future.
Pro Charger.
But it's just, that's just something I thought about. I was like, damn, like I've never, and I remember the Supercharge Jake. So I remember I was telling him, one of the guys who used to run with in Stockton, Jeff and Frank had it was a full basically hot rod car, but it was supercharged. But they always had issues with the belts. Is when they had, I don't know if you remember Visions.
Damn, that was back
Yeah,
then.
so they always had, they had a Jackson supercharger
Oh
on
yeah,
it.
GSR.
And it always had issues with the belt slipping off.
I think a lot of it too is
That's
because
just Jackson though. Jackson on Hondas always have belt.
I think
problems.
also because the way that on H, the way it sits in like an EG chassis, the way they have to run that extended arm and to move it over, I think that's a problem. I know there is one somewhere down south. There's it's a white right-hand drive H2B supercharged car, and it's fast, it's pretty, but I don't ever see him like really drag racing
You just
to
never
really
done- you
to
never
really
done-
to really put it to its limits. I don't think he's
You
really.
need the displacement for supercharging nitrous, and you're just not gonna get it in a Honda.
Yeah.
That's
The
why
only thing
they'll
you're gonna
never
have
be
is
as
K.
fast.
It's just gonna be a K. You're gonna have to have a big K.
Because in the domestic side, you got to run a 900 cubic inch motor to make power with nitrous to like compete. Pat Musey's big motors is a 959.
It's fucking insane because remember a couple years ago when Doc put that 700 and everybody was like, "Oh my God, he put that 700."
That was small.
That now it's not.
Things that was still small.
Yeah, that's like Jesus.
Which it's really not though, because you look at a lot of these guys that are they're turbo guys, but a lot of the V8s are all running 400s. They're all running 400s.
The Hemis are like 565,
Yeah.
and like the Pro lines are 481.
Yeah, it's
But they make gobs of power.
Yeah.
Tons of power.
when you're tuned down and you're making 3,500. It's like really.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why
It's like,
I
what
call
the
it
hell?
Little Bo's car with the Pro Charger and the Zoomies. I call it the Hat Snatcher. Because if he's
Oh, he blew off so many hats.
he's the Hat Snatcher.
Did you see that?
I call him the car's the money shot, but I call it the Hat Snatcher because if your hat's forward and you don't pull it down and he comes through the burnout box, your hat's gone. Period.
I turned around and saw 3 of them.
I saw one. There was a little. I think it was a little Mexican dude. He was standing right next to the other, and his hat just went. Whoop.
I mean, they were flying. And they don't just go.
No, they
woof.
gone.
No.
They go woof. They go
That's what
flying.
happens when you have a directional header that goes
And
that way.
Yeah.
I tell him, bro, I can't record your car with these damn Zoomies because I can't hear nothing. And I'm trying to I actually turn my head. I'm like videoing like this, like I can't see anything. I don't know where it's going. Do something with that. Bullhorns. You need bullhorns.
Anything else?
What about, since obviously you've been tuning for a long time, what is something that people should know about coming prepared? What, like, is there something like that
What
like
advice
that
could you
something
give
that
for
really
people?
Oh,
like
come and get on the dyno?
yeah, like something
Okay,
yeah,
so-
let's get into that
so I'm-
because
man,
you know,
you
we've
know,
had Chad on,
quick ones,
but
like
should we go out of our way and make like a checklist kind of thing and be like, look, this is kind of what you would want
Start here.
to look forward to and check like
wouldn't number one be no check engine?
Man, no,
Wouldn't that be like numero uno?
no, number
Yeah,
one is a
My
fucking
numero
start.
uno is put some spark plugs in that stone
man,
bitch.
spark plugs. So yeah, have a checklist. So basics. My pet peeve, my number one pet peeve in tuning cars is when people bring me a car and I ask them what injectors are in it. Oh, I bought them off eBay. So you want me to sit here and guess the dead times? No. I won't. I refuse to tune the car. So before, when I first started tuning, I would tune everything, and just to try to get the name out there and everything else. But now, I've honed my skill to where it's like yeah, I could probably make it work, but I'm not gonna make it work. There's good injectors out there. Stop being cheap.
And they're not expensive.
No, they're not.
You
know,
get ID 1000 for $300.
Yeah, man. So I'll definitely say like I'll break it down like this, and I'll give secrets.
Oh shit!
So
listen up.
And,
turn out the microphone.
And this is something that I learned, and I spent time in it. Jonathan Maris, he was a Honda Challenge racer, who won 3 years in a row, 2 years with a B16. Countless hours on the dyno trying to make horsepower out of a B16. Now, let me tell you, the motor had, and this was back in maybe like 2010, somewhere around there. He brought me the car, left it with me, hours on the dyno, talking about you were already limited in class. So he ran I think it was HPD 2 or something like that. And the races were always in mid-Ohio. So he's like, look, I need this car to make 200 horsepower out of a stock B16.
Good luck.
It happened. So this is when it happened. ARP rod bolts. He had a B16A2 piston because you're limited. He would shave the block so the compression would go up, shave the head, and then he would run a Type R intake manifold with, back in the day, I haven't seen him in a while porting any heads, but he would do, it was a gentleman from the East Coast that Seth and the brothers that would use.
Oh, Seth and Josh.
Yeah, not Seth and Josh, but Seth and the HB.
Yeah, Seth and Josh.
Is it Josh?
It was Josh.
No. Josh from PED.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's Josh and Seth.
Yeah.
No, it's not Josh. Is it?
No, Josh.
Josh was PED. I know Josh.
But
it was Seth and.
But the heads, that basically it was a good ass valve job and a stock port, and we used that stupid well penis intake manifold or intake. Doesn't make any power.
Nope.
He actually
you're not supposed to use that, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that cause you to lose power?
Yeah, it lost power, and so he ended up using a stock. He used the stock tubing from a Type R with the Comtech airbox, the icebox.
Mm-hmm.
That works.
Yeah.
The number one thing that made the most power, spark plug gap.
Bro.
Spark plug gap was everything, and like when I say he had to squeeze blood out of a turnip, that was squeezing blood out of a turnip. Trying to figure out actual degree on the cam gears and everything else. A lot of people don't understand cam center lines and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the cam gears are there for, you know, and getting a correct center line. So if you have a motor that has exactly.
That's gonna bug me.
If you have a motor that let's say it has, you know, intake, header, exhaust, you still have to be able to bring in the sufficient amount enough intake compared to exhausting it, which why cam gears are so important. That's why, like on a K series, they make power because on the actual VTC wheel, it's just like a electronic cam gear, but on a B series, it's mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would say is on an all motor car, usually my spark plug gaps are anywhere from 28 to 25, depending on the compression. On a turbo car, anything up to 0 to 15 pounds of boost, usually I recommend anywhere from 23 to 21 gap. Now, anything higher than that, my personal car, I use 8 gap on my car. We tried with Steve and with Speed Factory when they were tuning the car. He had tried 10, 12, and blah, 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 so on and so forth, and it wasn't working. On 50, 60 pounds of boost, it's blowing the spark out. So that's kind of like my quick, quiet tip, you know. Yeah. Spark plug gap. Spark plug gap is everything.
Bro, that is the truth, because when I first turbocharged the fit and we had the stock gap, it was blowing the spark out.
Yeah, you know, people don't understand. It's like, if you don't check the gap, so many times I've got on the dyno and I'm just, you know, a nitrous car or whatever. Go to squeeze the nitrous and it's like, dude, this thing sounds like it's misfiring. What's wrong? Did you gap the plugs? Oh no, sorry, I just put them out.
Said pre-gapped on the box.
Yeah, it's like, you know, and it's like, you know, spark plug gaps everything. Make sure you don't have any boost leaks. Good injectors, I can't say that enough. You know, good injectors are so important.
My favorite one was when I didn't shove a fuel. You guys want to have fuel for me? No.
You know, fuel pump, wiring in the relay on aftermarket pumps. So many people are using these Volvo 400s and everything like that, and they're thinking they're drop-in tank, and they're not. Like, if you pay attention to and read the directions, it needs 12 or 13 volt source, not off switched power that comes from a little tiny ass gauge wire.
Yeah.
You know, but it actually needs constant power with the relay into it. So it's just understanding the parts that you have, and when you install them, what's to follow and complement those parts that you're installing. You know, those are my small tidbits.
Is that it?
That got me all. I'm thinking shiny spark plugs. See, my motor's all stock, so I just
Dude, that
leave them alone.
You'd be surprised.
It works. It works. I mean, but like I'm saying, like it just works how it goes, and it works. But like, I'm pretty sure I can find more out of it if I try.
And you know, even like when I had my G35, I was blessed at the time to have the shop, and I had a dyno. I bought 5 different companies of spark plugs. You know, from Denso to Bosch to NGK, the list goes on. And I would actually, all I would do with the car, because it had test pipes and exhaust and intakes. That's all the car had on it. Mm-hmm. I would literally go through and gap a plug and put it in and make a pass. And it came down to it to where in a G35 and the VQ motors back in the day, like an 03, 04 motor, a Denso plug that is a little bit colder with a closed gap, I picked up 6 horsepower. Now, of course, 6 horsepower, it doesn't sound like a lot. But the thing is that
from a spark plug change, that's huge.
Yeah.
Same thing happened in the Fit. Like we switched to the Denso IK 2022s and picked up like 3 horsepower, and then switched to 24s and picked up some more.
Spark plugs are everything, and so it's kind of like there's a K-Series car that I'm dealing with right now. He's using X85 as a fuel, and he's trying to make. He already made 990, something like that in the car, and he's trying to make more. He's trying to go to 45 pounds of boost. He's switching to AEM and all this other stuff. He's still on a stock K-Series coil. I told him no. It's like, you're trying to make more power, you need to go to external coils. And so he actually listened, and so he went out and bought the AEM coils, and he went in and read, okay, wow, the stock coil is this much amperage, and so on and so forth. And then the aftermarket coil obviously is going to be that much more amplified. Yeah. To burn the fuel. And a lot of guys will want to run E85 and all these things, but they don't understand that it's alcohol. It's corn. It's alcohol. Mm-hmm. So it has to be able to burn. So spark plugs. That's going to be my suggestion. 100% all the way through is know what plug you're running and know what gap.
So know what plugs, know what gap, know what injectors, and just basically
an injector that has a dead time behind it. Now you have the injector companies like 50 Motorsports that also modifies an EV14. There's a lot of companies out there that modify the EV14 injector, but not everyone can do it properly. And that's where for me personally I stick behind. Ideally for me, I like Grams and ID. Those are my 2 injectors that I like to tune the most. In my own personal car, I have 8 2200 grams. That's what's in there. It works. Jeez. It works. And just also know what you're asking your tuner as far as horsepower. Don't come in and say, oh, I want 700 horsepower on pump gas. It's not possible. Without having any pre-detonation.
I saw a dude do it on Facebook though. What are you talking about? He did it. How come you can't do it?
Be realistic.
Right. Be realistic. It's like, okay, great. You made that power. How long does the motor last?
Well, it's like all the guys that was it Hush? They're starting to do all the stock motor.
Humble.
Yeah, it's Humble. That's who it is. Not Hush. Humble. Yeah, all the stock motor cars. I'm just like, that's crazy.
Well, it worked.
How long does that last?
It lasts. So the thing is, Full Race came out with when they had the turbo kit for the SI came out. They made 600. I've made 550, no problem, on a pump gas K-Series motor all day long.
Which is nuts because 5-6 years ago, maxed out K was 450.
Yeah.
Rods would bend automatically, 450 up. That was the number. You could not do a rod over 450.
Back in the day, they're not in business anymore. They were out of Arizona. It was a fab shop. They had an EK that made 750 horsepower on the stock K, bone stock K.
Damn.
Now he ended up going, I believe, like 9.7 or something like that, or 9.6, but he ended up blowing it up. But that was the most power I'd ever seen out of a stock K. Now, as far as pump gas K, the most power I've ever made was 800.
Damn.
But he had a Wiseco 8.8 to 1 piston. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah.
But the low compression allowed for
The higher boost.
the higher boost, but what I had to do in compensating for that is run less timing. So I ran less timing and I let the boost make all the horsepower.
Yeah.
Which allowed for it to work. You know, but you know there's certain limitations to everything. But the problem with 91 fuel is so inconsistent anyway, and it's junk on the West Coast. So.
Well, all fuels.
Yeah.
Especially E85. Go test the E85 on the pump.
Yeah.
That's what I try to tell everyone. It's like, oh, I run an E85. I'm like, sucks for you. You tested it? Tested it? What do you mean tested?
Yeah.
I'm like, test your 85. It's a guarantee you run like E50.
Well, another example is so that 99 motor, that all motor, Sonic's old motor, so that car in the EF, it made 300 at 4,500 feet. And he's like, oh, well, how come they make 350? And I'm just like, well, you gotta understand, the way you have them, he's running an ultra race intake manifold, that's ported. So those runners, let's give a guesstimate that it's between 58 and 60 millimeters. It's not big enough for what he's asking the motor to do.
Yeah.
You
And he's
gotta
like,
be at
well,
least a 68. At least.
yeah, at least. And I was just like, the motor needs ITBs. You're choking the motor. There's only so much that I can do. You know, he's like, oh, but it's on M1. I was like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, the motor's choked. And then, you know,
The motor's choked. Motor's
choked. And it's just like,
you could have a 1,000 horsepower motor if you don't have enough air and enough exhaust. You're just thriving.
Yeah, that's like
robbing that motor.
You know, one of my buddies, he's got a Mustang, and he wanted me to tow him there, so I towed him up there, and he was on the 85 and pump gas, so he's on that flex fuel shit. So we get up there to AED Performance, and he tells him, put this, I forgot what it was, but it was like this like additive. He goes, because California's E85 is so garbage that you have to have this or something. It basically was like drying out it was drying out.
Wow.
And it was like an additive to help keep the things healthy. And he's like, I've blown up countless motors of cars, and he goes, because of using regular E85, because it's so unbalanced that you can never know what you're going to get. So he was like, we put this in there. He goes, we haven't blown up one since. It's not like he's doing it on purpose, but it's like the blowing up was because of the fuel was causing the motor to dry out. And that's why he's like, run this shit. He goes, yeah, you put E85, he goes, you put this shit in there. And I forgot what it was, but it was just saying that E85 is so inconsistent, and so is the fuels. And we argue with people all the time. Everyone's like, E85 is this, E85 that. It's like, for what? You know, do something better fuel. Like VP's fuel might be a little bit better running their 85 because out of a can, it's consistent.
It's a real 85.
Yeah.
It's tested.
Exactly.
You got a favorite build?
As far as
Anything. Yeah.
Or
anything really.
I'm a car guy, man, so I love everything. There isn't any favorite build that I have. You know, like I'm definitely a studier of builds, and you know, my Instagram or even Facebook, when I'm on there and I see like Wes Spree's car, and you know, even looking at Jamie Marshall's car, you see Sonic's all motor car. I mean, the list goes on. I look at Fast Guy's car. You know, I just look at all these cars and their builds, and just I'm impressed by the craftsmanship more than anything else. How they take their time to put it together, and you know, there's just solid builds. So.
That's one thing I think I wanted to touch on. I was thinking about earlier. I forgot to talk about it when you were talking about people building cars and whatnot, not getting discouraged. People take a long time to build a car. People don't realize that. People here think, oh, I can build it in a year and race it next year or whatever. And, you know, 1 year.
If you have the resources and things are going
exactly
how it's supposed
to.
Yeah,
I say even then though, even if you say you had $1 million, it's still going to take you a while because you got to realize that. Don't get discouraged by, oh, I don't have my car out this year. Keep on building it. Keep on going.
And so, you know, the thing is that's like for me. So that Reading race happened. It's been almost a month now. My car's still sitting broken.
Yeah.
I've been given a deadline by my fabricator, you know, of course, you know, to have it apart by November 14th. But right now, honestly, I'm going to take it apart. And I was talking to my son today. And I was just like, honestly, I probably won't even spend money on the car till January. Why? Because you got Thanksgiving coming up, you got Christmas coming up. You know, I'm going on vacation in December, so it's just like for me, I love racing, but that's not my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you still got to be able to live and have a comfortable life, but still do what you love at the same time. So you got to balance it.
Well, that's what we were just talking about, because we were talking about events coming up and places we want to go and shit like that. And I was like, well, I got, money for this, money for that, money for this. I got other things going on. I was like, I don't know. I'll let you know after Thanksgiving or after Christmas, or, we'll talk more about it then. But, there's a balance.
But in that balance, so for me, I know in my mind, okay, all right, for next season, I'm building 2 motors. I'm gonna have a backup, and really, honestly, when that backup, okay, I'm gonna buy another turbo, so I'm gonna have a backup turbo. So, what's allowed me to have those things is that you literally have to have another hustle or another grind to pay for your race car, and not take away. You see, some people they eat, sleep, and don't do anything else. They'll lose their family, they'll lose their life, and everything just to build a race car. No, man, it's not that serious. Love it, and if you can't, let's say I don't finish my car. I'm gonna call and be like, hey man, I wasn't able to finish. But what am I gonna do now? Because I do have a love for the sport. What help do you need at the event?
Yeah, you're still gonna be there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still gonna be there. Just because.
I think a lot of people do that. That if they get discouraged, they didn't finish the car, or they didn't, finish what they wanted to, they don't go. Period. It's like, but you can still go and support. It's still fun. Like just be in the stands, be in the money pit right there, betting money.
Yeah.
Even if you only got $1, $5,
Bro,
I
to
bet
one
$5.
race, I went in there with $20 and walked out with 400.
Yeah.
Like literally, I was like, I got $20 in my pocket. When it's gone, it's gone. Made a $10 bet that turned into a $20 bet, and it's just for me, like it's just all the way fun. Like,
Oh yeah.
Sometimes the drag strip's the only place I get to see some of my family. I don't see them all the time, but I know race weekend, I know where they're gonna be at. They know where I'm gonna be at, and we hang out. Like it's just one of those things. Like it's a big family affair. And
Well, that's like us. Like I talk to Ken's Race Engines and Think Fat. I mean, online or text messages here and there, probably once a week. But it's the same thing. I don't see them. They're down there. But as soon as the race event is, we're hanging out, hugging, having fun, having beers, whatever. I mean, it really is a family event.
And it really is. And it's like, like even when I saw Ken, I saw those guys at the track. Like they were all open arms and a hug. I hadn't seen them in years. Yeah. But see, like, having my car and being originally affiliated with Steve, that introduced me to the scene. And, just like, man, if you're cool and down to earth, people are going to, respond to you in a positive way. It's just, I'm not into that. I see all the shit online about people talking shit to each other about whatever. I'm not into that. Yeah. Yeah, I easily could chime in and say whatever, but for what?
Well, it's like, we were talking earlier about, a certain someone, and we talk about it, but I'm not going to go online and comment on it. Because I'm not trying to get into that madness. I have an opinion on it, but I'm not going to sit there and get online with it.
I'm sorry, I couldn't take it.
I
just had to say something.
Yeah,
there's times.
Yeah. There's times, but...
Yeah, but, with building the car, it just takes planning. And any fast car isn't going to just throw some off-the-shelf parts together. Nope. And there's always going to be your signature of how you build it different than the next person. It's going to look the same from the outside. Oh, he has the same manifold, this and whatever. But it's the signature. It's your touch. And it's kind of like Ken and Think Fast said to me at the racetrack. They were like, we get it. You bought the car. We know it's fast, blah, 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 whatever. But it's time for you to make it yours. Yeah. Because right now, it's still not yours. Even though I took the wrap off of it, it's still not your signature. So that is the mindset that I have right now with the car. It's like, okay, what can I change? What can I do that's going to benefit the car and make it go faster? Not try to recreate the wheel so much. It already hurt me once. You know what I mean? But make it Andre's car. And really put my own signature, my own spin on it.
Well, that goes just like we always talk about how Ramy sold his car to Natty. It's not a Ramy car anymore. It's Natty's car. He rebuilt that whole damn thing. Same thing with Cole and Carrie Bell's car. He bought Carrie Bell's car, and now it's way different.
Way different.
So it goes in the same thing. It's the same car. Yes, that's Kerry's S2000, but it's not. That's now Cole's S2000. It's his signature. Same thing with Natty and Ramy. It's yes, that's Ramy's car, but no, that's now his car.
I mean, that's kind of like my car. I have some of the same parts as some of these other H cars, and they don't do anything I do because the signatures are different, like you said. It's just the signatures are different.
And that's like we were talking about my build. You know what I mean? It's just I want to do what they have, but different. That's why 100% is right. It's your signature.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have a favorite build?
I love anything fast. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care what it is.
I know. I would say it's gonna be hard for you because I know you're involved in so much.
Dude, I don't care what it is. I go to the drag boat races. If it's fast,
I watched that last night,
bro. If it's
man.
it's nothing like seeing like Top Fuel is probably one of my favorite things to watch from when I was younger. But watching a 200-mile-an-hour jet boat, bro, like drag boat, is one of the gnarliest things and the wildest big ball things I've ever seen somebody
So
do.
say you're at the track and you're off in the pits walking around or filming or getting food or going about whatever. Is there anything that you hear like, oh, you know, Bo Jr.'s up. Oh, I gotta go. I gotta get up there. Is there any car that's like that you're like, holy shit, I gotta watch that
Bo
car?
Jr. usually is like, we gotta go because one is betting and it's like family. And then like for domestic stuff, like at the track, there's a couple small tire cars I always want to watch. And then I just watch it in general.
Yeah.
Hell, at a big NHRA event, I don't even go down when usually everybody gets up after pro stock and go watch. You know, I still watch the bracket cars. My biggest thing is I love pro stock bikes. Bro, that is my favorite class.
It's so fun to watch those bikes.
It's pro stock bike. That is my favorite class to watch. And they just now broke 200 mile an hour not too long ago.
What was he's got a short name, but he was in Sonoma. I watched him win, but he was just like working somewhere and like he had literally had like after the race he had to go fly back home or something.
I know what you're talking about, but like and then Angel Sanpace is my favorite. Like she's like
those bikes are so crazy to watch.
Honestly, I don't care what it is. It could be a trophy truck. If it's fast,
I just know like I have a person. You know what I mean? I got.
But like as far as a
if
car
you hear
build,
a certain name, you're like, oh, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Like doesn't matter what you're doing.
When you hear Factors Up Racing,
That's because I'm staging you.
you know, like all cars have certain ingenuity that really, you know, whether it's a limited small tire car. And there's some cars where you're like, God damn, that's just a fast ass car. You like, it was one of Bo's events. The dude came from Texas, like, and won, I think it was Rocky Mountain Race Week or something with the car, and the car was just stupid fast. Mustang shot, you know. It was like, dude, this car had AC still in it, and it was probably a high 7-second car. It was like, this car is just all the way badass. And you can't see that anywhere else. And that's why I enjoy those events. And it's like, you know, watching Berto beat Bonnie. Like, you can't get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
The way it happened. Like, it's just not going to happen. And so, anything fast.
My favorites is goals. I like seeing people set goals. Like, say you want 8s, I'll watch you and be like, holy shit, hell yeah, I'm rooting for your 8. You know what I mean? I got, like, my friend John Speedstars John. He's been going for that 8 for, like, 4 years now. Blew a head, blew another head, wrecked the car, you know, blew a turbo. He had issue after issue after issue after issue. But that day he hits that 8, I'll be sure to be on that line and watch him hit that 8.
And it's like, at a Bo's event, when you know you're in is when somebody will tell you how fast the car is. Because at an event, you really, 99% of people have no idea how fast the cars really are. When you can go to somebody and be like, wait, and they're like, you're like, or you can be like, hey.
I stopped watching my phone a lot.
Be like, hey, all right, am I betting on you today? And they're like, yeah. Like, and that's when you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, this is going to be
that's kind of like what Mason.
Because they'll tell you. They'll be like,
you know, you need to come to this. You need to get down there and watch.
Some of them dudes will be like, not today.
Yeah.
Like the car, maybe not, you know. But then there's days where you're like, and then you're like, when you really find out how fast these cars are, you're like, God, fuck
yeah. Like
I know when you were reading numbers, when you were saying numbers in last event, and then when we were talking when you came down to the races, and then here's like, fuck, those numbers are fucking ridiculous. And people don't
understand like
that's
how
fucking
fast,
stupid,
especially in the 8th mile, like how fast those cars really are, and if they knew, they'd be mind blown.
Oh yeah.
But they can see it, you know what I'm saying? But they just can't correlate the two. Like,
well, when you can hit in 8 seconds lower than this, that's wild. Yeah. Like, I can count your time in less than one hand. That's nuts.
And then most of the time they're door to door.
Yeah. It's crazy. If you're not blowing the tires out, it's door to door.
Yeah, it's door to door.
Yeah, it's wild.
And,
definitely
you know,
was some good
import
races.
that imports could be the exact, but it's just a mindset. Like people have to have that kind of mindset.
You do, and that's the thing is like the 8th mile stuff. So I'll tell you right now, my mind is continuously working to figure out how to get an import to go 8th mile. Now, most transmissions will run. It's all in gearing. So most transmissions will run up, sport front guys will run a 4.0, 4.2, and the sport front cars.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens if I put a 4.5 in there? And I may not run a 8.0, 8 flat, 8.5, whatever, But what if it changes the short track to the car where the car is,
Your
low
factory
5?
Type R is a 4.7.
Yeah, exactly. So then it changes it. It's kind of like street racing guys. So most of the guys that I know that street race, they're running Type R transmissions. Why? Because that first 2/3 is the race, and that's it.
Yep.
Now, granted, most of it's freeway, but they're running a 4.7 on a turbo car
Mm-hmm.
on the street.
And then a lot of it's displacement too. A lot of people don't realize that when you're running 1,000 horsepower and only 500 torque, or 400 horsepower and 100 torque, or whatever, you're like, this car ain't gonna leave out of the hole with no torque. You're running a V16 with a shit ton of boost. It ain't going nowhere.
But bringing the gearing up though will actually help with the torque, and that's where it's just like, I've talked to Mel several times. With the car, I don't want to just go to an import event.
Oh yeah.
So there's a Nationals in Vegas.
So I'm the same way. With this S2000, that's my thing. I want to be able to do both. I don't want to just go to SAC and be like, all right, I'm
And
gonna
I was
run.
telling him they have the super
8.5 class.
the super streetcar nationals in Vegas, and it's it's a 5. Like Bo has a 5.0 index class. Basically, you don't know how fast it is. You just can't run it 5.
Faster than 5.
There's a lot of import cars that could. Front wheel drive cars that run 5.2, 5.3, and 8 that can compete in those classes, but it just their mindset has to be.
Well, it's like Fatty. He ran what 5.4?
Yeah, it's just the mindset of having to change your thinking of, hey, I can go race in all these events. I can work on my short track at these events, and then that translates to ET on the top end at these other events. But people have to learn that mindset.
Yeah,
they get stuck in that.
When you look at somebody's 8th mile and you're like, oh, he's running 3s or low 4s or mid 4s, you're like, I can't compete with that. But then there's a 5.0 class, and you're like, go run that.
But the crazy thing is and then if you get set up, because some of those dudes will run a 1/4 mile grudge race. So yeah, he might run 470 to the 8th or 460 to the 8th in a rear-wheel drive car.
Yeah,
but he's only
he's doing 9s.
Yeah, or he's doing 8. So you can set up a grudge race to where your back end will all the way blow his doors off on the back end. So it's just one of those give and takes.
Yeah, you give them one, you take one.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
And I think that's where, like, if anybody building an all-wheel drive car will eventually will understand what they have. Those cars can compete and outdo a V8 in short track and a 1/4 mile, as long as they're making the power. I mean, the prime example is the SuperTech car. That car,
740s, 750s.
yeah, it goes 740.
You talking about the
Norris's car?
the black and blue one?
Yeah. So that.
Yeah, he built 2 exact identical cars.
Well, one's a Bellet car and one's.
Oh yeah, no, it's not SuperTech anymore. It's
Bellet.
Yeah. But even so, that
Well, he's
car.
got both. He's got a SuperTech car and a Bellet car.
Oh, there, yeah.
He's
So
got 2.
so he built the 2 coupes.
Yeah.
So he got rid of the red one then, and only has the blue one.
Yes. And then built the 2 Integras.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So the.
Well, it's like look at Steve-O's car. Steve-O was going 7s
760.
5 years ago,
Yeah.
4 years ago, when this whole all-wheel drive thing boomed. Where?
And
you know what I mean? That was happening 5 years
and he has
ago
a
or
whole
3
nother-
years ago, whatever
He
it
has
was.
a whole other car that hasn't even come out. It's a coupe.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a DK, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody thought it was Fast Guy's car.
Yeah,
It's not.
that's right. We were talking about that when it came out. I was like, hey, that's right. But it actually is somebody's old car. The show was.
I mean,
It's wild. Yeah, it's like you said. The all-wheel drive is gonna be crazy once people learn more about it. There's just not enough out there.
I think it's young. It's
Oh, hell yeah,
super
it is.
young. It's very young,
Very young.
in the game. There's so much to learn about that because that's a whole new ballpark.
Well, that was like a question I asked. Why does everyone want to run a Wago diff? Why not run a Mustang 88 diff? The diff's way stronger, way cheaper, way easier. Don't need to run a viscous coupler. Why not try that stuff? And everyone's like, Wago diff. I'm like, okay, there
Somebody's
goes.
gonna have to try.
That's
it.
small mind.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy once people start trying these other things. Evo diffs, STI diffs. That's like when they found out about the Freelander
Yeah.
this couple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all different.
Bro, the crazy thing is like the D16, the Viterra pistons.
Mm-hmm.
You know those are Geo-Tracker pistons. Those are stock Geo-Tracker pistons.
Fuck out of here.
I swear to God, those are stock
Oh,
Geo-Tracker
the
pistons.
Viterra
Viterra pistons, those are
yeah.
stock block Geo-Tracker pistons.
So you building another one then?
Hell no.
Nah.
The rear end couldn't take it.
Well, why don't you try to put the right thing down
Why
for
don't you put an
them
88 in there?
Dad had been mentioning me to do that.
Don't
But
need
yeah,
it in
literally,
there?
those are Geo-Tracker pistons. Those are Suzuki Samurai Geo-Tracker,
Yeah.
the stock pistons. I think they're 8-to-1 compression pistons or something like that.
There's something low.
But
Something
they're,
wrong,
those are
yeah.
literally the stock pistons.
I think they're 9.1. I
But
think they're
are-
9.1s.
Those are literally
But that's what
factory
Speed Factory ran in
pistons.
their old D series. It was 9.1s.
So,
They're stout.
Yeah.
do you have any shout outs? You guys want to get some shout outs to
Oh
people?
shit, my brother, little Bo.
You can't shout out your brother. He
got
hates
to.
you right now.
I still love him.
Hey,
like,
hey,
you know,
he gonna send him a text with the link to the video.
Yeah,
Go,
right.
I told you I love you.
Big Bo for just allowing the imports in because it took a lot, and he's on board. Like he's all the way. He was so impressed with Redding, it was crazy. So Andre for helping. Everybody that showed up, like because without them there wouldn't be no part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that that's it. The wifey at home because she don't give me shit for going to the races. She used to because I play softball and my daughter's at cheer, so sometimes I'm just like gone, and she's like, you know what I do? Just got smart. Betting money. Here you
Right.
go.
This
When
is
I get
all
home, I slide that betting money over. Like, hey,
And then when you come
I
home,
came
there's
home
no
with
money
this.
because you lost. It's like, gas money, here you go. So, still something, damn it.
and just anybody that comes out in 2021 because I'm trying to do some big things. I'm not in it for the money. Like anything I make, like off the shirts or whatever, it all I'll just put that shit to the pot. Like
Yeah, we were talking about that after we had talked about that.
I was like, I'm not trying to get rich. I'm not trying to get nobody's
No, you're
money.
just trying to make it bigger,
I'm just
better.
trying to make it bigger and better for the next man. Like, cause I enjoy racing. I enjoy seeing it. I like to have it all in one spot.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Cool.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, so I like to pay homage to people that brought me into the industry. So I say my racing family, Mo's definitely that. I talked to Chloe the other day, and definitely we always both said, we were racing teammates from the beginning. So Chloe Holland, you have Chad. Watching him when he was with Venom, just all
Did
these
you guys
certain-
know he used to race for Speed Logic?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. I
I've
was
known
like-
Chad for a very long time.
I was like, dude, I used to see you on the
Every
Spanish channel.
time I see him, I'm like,
Obviously,
fuck,
y'all
Grandpa.
ain't watched his episode because he was the first one on here.
I'll also say even the race, with Chris from Hybrid Works coming and helping, and then even Roro, his mechanic. The list goes on. Kevin for teaching me the basics of tuning. I mean,
You're welcome.
I was gonna leave it that way.
the basics of tuning, and I mean the list can go on and on. Shannon from Fame Racing for giving me the fundamentals, of the sport front because I knew nothing about it. And Steve from M Factory, or now just Steve.
Yeah.
And the list goes on of people. Just got to continue to shine and do the best that we can to make this sport stay alive.
So I mean that's what we do this for. We put our time, money. I mean, like we don't make no money off this either, but we do work hard. A lot of people don't understand what we actually do behind the scenes. All the text messages and the emails that we send out and bugging people to get on the show.
But I mean, if you
working
want to
out-
buy some stickers, we've got
buy
some
some stickers.
purchase.
We finally just talked about shirts.
We got shirts,
We
too.
have that settled, so that's coming for sure.
Right?
Oh, do a Dopper. He did me legit on the shirts.
And if you want to buy some Raise Energy, I mean, that helps us
Raise
too.
energy. Too, you know what I'm saying?
And Hybrid Chris, because he went out his way when I first contacted him about Redding. He was like, dude, whatever you need. Like, I'll try and get whoever I can. Do
Well, that's
whatever
why I said when you
can.
hit us up, I was like, anything. I said, let me know. I said,
And he
You know,
all the
and-
way
and-
came through.
And I like it that there's not a lot of funk between people. There's some stupid people, but for the most part, everyone's working together.
Yeah.
Even though
there's a lot
you're
of
race
people that
competitors,
they put their shit
but
aside.
you know, it's coming together for the greater good of the sport,
Like I said,
which is awesome.
I know people from way back. All the new cats, I don't got no beef with nobody. I don't think I ever did. So like the rest of that stuff, keep that stuff at home. Like when you get to the track, let your car do the talk.
Leave that shit on the internet.
Yeah, let your car. If you want a grudge race, if you think your car really badass, that's kind of why I seen that thing with Driver B. He's like, if you want it, come get it. Like I can't be mad at that. Like line them up. Like you ain't all the other stuff you ain't gotta talk about. Like be there this time. And get it in.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's kind of how a bow race is. Like, in the beginning, we're our family, but you know what? On Saturday, during testing, let's get it in.
Right?
And it's all in good fun.
That's what I think is cool about his races is you have time to grudge race and have fun and do what you want, make some money, whatever.
Well, it's like Mason had called out Chris for a grudge race, and then I don't know, it was kind of good we sent him told him the hotline because he sent that motherfucking rod, but there was a race lined up between them two. You know what I mean? Just for shit.
People want to see it. Like,
And hold on, I gotta shout out your brother. Otherwise, he'll put another bounty on me. So,
that is why he got the bounty put on him too.
Because I didn't shout out on the thing, and he was like, "Oh, you didn't mention me? Oh, bounty." I'm like, nah. Right.
But it just makes it interesting.
Yep.
That's the whole reason we did the one with Fat Kid.
Yeah.
Just it's extra money on the pot for more people to come race.
Exactly.
And it also gets more fans, because somebody might not have a fast car. They might have a stock Civic, slammed on some rims. But they say, oh, shit, there's a bounty and this is just going down.
That's why I like that girl coming in second. Because now, the next event, if she would have never thought about coming, she's
going to be there now.
She'll
going to show up, and I'm pretty sure they're at home working their ass off right now.
Exactly. Like, it gives you motivation.
That's what I said.
I just ran against all these guys, and I came in second.
It gives you some fucking hope. You know what I mean?
I think adding on to you guys' podcast, I'll say this, is I'll extend myself as if anyone that's watching this podcast that has any tuning questions, anything that I'm willing to share, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what it's about. That's what keeps the sport alive. That's what keeps the grassroots to where, we're not charging money. It's like, hey, you got a question? Let me help you go fast, the best that I know.
Right. We say the same thing. We try to say it almost every episode. If you guys have questions, or DMs, text message, whatever, it's always open. All day. Because we know quite a few people. If we don't know, we can ask you, or we can ask you, or we can ask whoever.
We don't know. We'll ask. Shit. The other day, I was at my cousin's house, and randomly I'm texting Mason. I was like, wait, hold on, let's call this fool. He'll know.
Mm-hmm.
Called him, asked him a question. He goes, yeah, it's because this, and this. And then, boom, cool. Problem solved. Help my cousin out. I didn't know shit, but I was already texting Mason, and I was like, fuck it, this fool know that. I answered, and he answered. You know what I mean? So everyone's helpful. Even, guys that have been on the show, they're all helpful, So
it's like if you got a car out there and you want to run, come to a Boddie event. There's a class for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's the limited street tire.
That was the shit that tripped me out. Like I only knew about the sport front wheel drive, and then Kerry showed up, and then
And I called. I seen him. I was like, bro, I got a class for you. He was trying to get Berto in the 5.0 class, and and I was like, I got a class for you. If you can't run the 5.0, you can run the real street class.
Yeah.
Your car's perfect for it.
Yeah.
You could have probably won it too, but
Well, I was saying when I seen Josh's car, I was like, all-wheel drive, what are you doing here?
He has a real street for all the dudes that
man, he would have put Berto on that property money, would have shit his pants.
That's the whole point. But there's a lot of people that won't get that. That want to just
I bet you Mahoney would have been in his lane betting.
But that's the whole.
I got 20 on this thing.
But that's the whole point is to build on the experience of the race before. Because even if you'd have went out and lost, it still has that draw.
Oh yeah.
And if you'd have won, it'd have just mounted even more.
Yep.
Like, oh, he's part 2.
Yep.
We was in the pits, and they was like, hey, Grace Allwell. He said, I don't want to be a Monty part 2. Like, the dude really said that. He was like, nah, I'm gonna leave, because they were trying to set up a grudge race, and he was like, where's the car run on nitrous? And he told us off the bottle. He was like, once you race, he was like, nah, I don't want to be a Monty part 2. All in good fun though. Monty standing there.
That was what was that dude's name? Because that was right there. We were right there.
Yeah, it was the car. Yeah, the silver.
The silver car. Yeah, because he was betting with us, and he was like, I ain't Monty too. Nah. He said no. I can't. I know what it looked like, but I just can't. I didn't know.
We
his
trying to
name.
set up a race off the bottle. Like, hey, let's just make this happen. For all. And he's like, nah. Even a snowmobile showed up.
Yeah, that was
that was
weird.
We were like, what the fuck is this?
We set up a grudge race between him and SVP Carey, but SVP Carey, like, something happened with the car, so it was just all in good fun. Where can you go and be like, dude, I just
race
fucking
a
raced a snowmobile.
Right?
I just raced a 9-second snowmobile.
Yeah.
That's wild. Well, shit, man.
in a fucking Integra.
Right?
That's the random shit like you only see on YouTube channels.
Now, can
like,
you imagine
How do you even?
Now, could you
search that on
imagine?
YouTube?
Yeah,
Now,
right.
could you imagine that race went through and Kerry won, or it was a door-to-door race and it hits Facebook?
Or
That shit would've
or
went fucking
that
viral.
thing won.
Yeah, it go viral.
Harry lost. Like,
It'd go viral.
yeah, oh hell yeah, it would. Just the same thing with like Monty and Berto's race. I'm sure that went viral.
Bro, last time I saw it, it was like at 600,000
That's
views.
what I'm saying. That's wild.
Like within like a day and a half. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Think if you had someone like him and Boddie Jr. race. You know what I mean? Think if you had an import and somebody beat Jr.
Let me drag. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Think how wild that video would go.
Something a lot would have to happen.
That's what I'm saying though. But
A
think
lot.
though, that would be wild to see.
Okay, now
someone.
I have to build an S2000. That's pretty good.
But I'm just saying, you think about that. Think how wild that'd be to see a big import name beat someone like Junior.
No, for sure.
Like that'd be wild.
Just to see them line up next to each other.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can see is S2000, one of those rotary cars from the East Coast. That would even.
Oh,
They
all
would
little
still,
Toyotas
I think all import real-wheel driver would have their hands full, unless it
all
was
kinds of fools.
unless it was a radio versus the world style import car that runs at World Cup. They'd have their hands full.
I know those little Puerto Rican
They run.
Mazdas and Toyotas.
They have their hands full.
Those things are wild.
They doing this in that quarter, bro. They right there.
Yeah.
They not far
It'd
away.
be one hell of a race. There.
They
It'd be-
right there.
It'd set some
Because
TV
I
records.
was watching last year, and homeboy said his personal he finally ran a 5, and he ran a 550.
Yeah.
And he blew everybody else's doors off in the fucking class. He was
I was guys running
550.
And that was a quarter.
super motors.
Yeah.
See, what's crazy is like none of those cars out here.
No.
All
No.
that
Oh no.
But a lot of those cars are
Yeah, they're all
just Puerto
fucking,
Rican.
they're
They're not
all
even in the
fucking
United
gigantic
States.
ass Puerto Rican flags that come up. You see dudes taking them off after the burnout and
Tire
shit.
bigger than the car.
Because like my brother's end goal, honestly, my brother's end goal is to have the sport front wheel drive and the Volkswagens in the same class. Because they run comparable.
You gotta be
If
careful with
if
that
you
though,
took-
because a lot of
those VW guys, man, I don't
there's
know.
a lot of headbutting there.
But that's what he wants to see happen.
Yeah.
But you have that, like you said, you have to have the right people in the right mind frame.
Oh, yeah.
People who think cars are leaking, but they're not.
He's got a grudge about that one. We were at a race and he had some water drip out of his exhaust or something.
It
wasn't
leaks-
even like
it
water.
It
It
leaks
was,
from the header to the exhaust.
that's what it was.
Right? It's
So
just
condensation.
moisture. It's condensation. My car always does it every morning. I start up and
dude tried to get him shut down the track. He's like, "You're leaking."
And I'm like, bro, it's water. And
bro.
he goes, you're leaking oil. I pop my hood, and I don't like any oil. I try to keep my shit as clean as possible. I said, I'll give you $500. You find an oil leak on this motherfucker right now.
So he runs. VW comes up next, blows the motor and rolls down the track.
Yep.
Cool,
So,
man.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Guys, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, comment the whole thing. Go to events too.
Right.
Show up. Like you said, these guys, we're putting lots of money into our cars. And
Be on the lookout for next year.
time and
Big
energy
time.
into events. Be looking out for.
Absolutely. Like
So you said it was $3,200.
it's right now it's at $3,200.
$3,200 for sport front wheel drive. Check
That's
that
without
out.
any. That's without
Thank
any
you for coming on.
buy-ins.
Appreciate it.
That's absolutely
Look
without no
forward to it.
buy-ins. So all buy-ins go straight to the pot. Also.
Hell yeah.
Cool. All right, guys.
Cool.
Thank you. See you next one. Later.